also very stable. He plays
the Gladiators and Team Liquid, and they have started the draft for game number 1. We're in it right now. I'm here with Effie, Purge, and Jenkins, and they're going to say very, very clever things about all things that happen on your screen. And Purge, you want to go first?
No Enchantress, a little surprisingly, but I guess they open Disruptor, which gives them flexibility based on the Prophet and the Tusk.
I feel like GG just goes Storm now, don't they? Or Bat Raider.
It's one of the contested heroes between the two of them. It was like Storm Ember are the two heroes that both of them play quite a lot.
I think it's a good game for either Bat or Storm, and neither of these teams have shied away from first phasing mids if they see one core that they have a good matchup against. I mean, I feel like Quinn's been very impressive on his Storm recently, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they go for. We'll see, though.
Oh, we missed our opportunity, Jenkins. I just realized.
Which one?
Disruptor is picked.
Oh, the Thunderstruck?
Thunderstruck. Too bad.
Yeah, that's all right.
Maybe
I see what you mean.
I get them to...
Okay.
It's their first day back. We'll let the rest
The bad chat members that don't know what you're talking about, definitely not me.
He wants Thunderstruck to be played.
We had them
the
played.
song.
Every time there's an
Literally
electricity
every hero. We had them do like a theme, so we'll just let them
There
rest
was
here.
Under the Sea for Naga Siren. There was Who Let the Dogs Out for Lycan.
We did do that.
Yeah,
That's
we
right.
did do that. Everyone had... I mean, Pango is... They see me rolling.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Play that. What does that even sound
I
like?
don't even know.
But speaking of Pango, so Pango is just another staple on the mid lane for either of these two teams. It's just very solid and stable. It's good against Tusk because if it gets ganked mid, it has a way to like swashbuckle out. It's good against Furion because they can catch it. Also has a way to get out of Sprout now. So it's, yeah, really solid pickup here. It's definitely also still a potential flex, but I would like to see it be played on the mid lane just for the tempo purposes.
The only scary part about playing mid is the SF. It like consistently beats at mid. Could see it get banned here. It could also make Team Liquid's draft a little bit inflexible. Like playing SF and Prophet seems a little bit redundant to me in terms of like my damage right clicker.
What they do, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe they'll just leave it in.
I suppose offlane Nature's Prophet get more of like a, I don't know, Ember Spirit type mid if it wasn't banned out. Would probably be fine because like offlane Nature's you can go for the Ags and play the kind of team fight.
Less common though right now, I feel like.
Yeah, less than it was like when Nature started getting picked in the offlane.
Is that just because the nerfs to Nature's like hurt him a little too much? Because he just seemed still kind of untouchable. Like he still played a lot.
Probably a bit, but I also feel like people just realized that this hero is best when played as a carry and no matter what role he's in. Like the Gleipnir build is just that item is a utility item and a carry item, so it feels good to use it in the offlane because then you get to have a carry as well as a utility hero. It's like playing Lycan offlane. This is why I always think like Lycan and Beast are so OP, is because you build a utility item in like the Helm Dom too, but then it actually gives you scaling, right? It's not like a Greaves. Well, Greaves is also kind of OP. Like a lot of the OP items are just like they also scale because Greaves takes a boot slot, right? It's not like you're using one of your 6 slots for the Greaves, and so you can still build like Octarines and stuff like that and scale. And Dota's all about scaling. It's been that way for like years now, even in the offlane.
Heckin' love scaling. But yeah, so the bans here like make sense, right? You take out the Bloodseeker to protect your Pango. You take out the Ember because it's something Liquid has been playing very often, either with Murano or something like a Rubik. Like they usually go for their second support pick on 15, and then they'll just close it out with their Ember Spirit in drafts like this. So I understand taking it away, even though it doesn't directly counter anything right now on the side of GG. Like it's a solid hero, right? Solid in matchups, and it would be solid to go on the Disruptor. And then GG take out the Undying just because they don't want to secure that strong laner. That's difficult to deal with to enable some kind of ranged core, potentially a Drow Ranger, right? Because when you play with a Furion, there's always the potential to Drow and just run over a team. So yeah, pretty solid bans by GG. And for Liquid, they do the same thing. They protect with the Naga. They take out the Primal, which is Nature's typical counter, and they take out the strong laner in Enchantress that GG tend to prefer. So it's all like bread and butter so far. Nothing out of standard.
I could definitely see Liquid go for their most pick carry here. Somewhere in this phase, the Templar Assassin is something that Mickey's been playing a lot. can be pretty good against Pango. You can kill him during a roll, pop a BKB of your own. You can deal with Disruptor as well once you get BKB.
I do like the idea of TA with Tusk too. We saw just how much damage it could do a few days ago. It's also something that, like you mentioned, just bursts either of these two heroes. So yeah, I definitely do like the idea. It would have to come out at 18, I think, though.
I would imagine also because both of these teams come from different groups, and in game 1 of a best of 3, this is just where they would try out their bread and butter because they might assume that the other team has something prepared to deal with that. So it's the best test to try out, you know, just everything that worked. Like, why want to change it up for the first game, just to see how you do against the competition.
I was waiting until we would see this hero from like either team. DK just seems to be going up in stocks for this tournament and prior in pubs. It's just, I know we've talked a lot about stability. I feel like it's such a stable hero. You get a hero that pushes. He has a great disable. He scales a lot better than I think a lot of people realized when you eventually get to like the Manta, Octarine Core, Aghanim Scepter build in the late game. Yeah, DK is super solid, and I expect to see some sort of combo with
Some
this
Mirana
now.
or something,
Yeah,
right?
some
They
Mirana.
do enjoy their Miranas and their Rubiks. I can see them going for a Mirana here on 18 instead. DK also just provides a lot of flex to your draft, right? It played off lane,
Right, he
mid,
plays
or
every
safe
role,
lane,
core
so
role.
it definitely puts you in a comfortable position if you're Liquid in terms of where you want to go and how you want to itemize.
Yeah, now you get to see 2 picks, and then the response pick can come out, and the DK is not like, oh, we can counter DK. Who cares? You can throw it off lane.
The thing is with like carry DK, you can just farm comfortably for a while. Like you're not in any position to feel the pressure to get that early blink so that you would have to play with a combo. But if you are playing it on either mid or the off lane, you're playing for that blink timing plus 1 support that can burst with you, right? Or that fury on TPN. So I do feel like that's what they're lacking right now to round out their draft. Just some Snap, some Mirana, some Rubik, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds good. They haven't played a carry yet on Liquid side, so it's probably mid or off lane. Go ahead.
I really like the snap. I feel like against Underlord Pit and then Pango roll, Hoodwink, like they have all these like things they put on the ground you just need to get out of. So I feel like the cookie would be super solid in this game, and then it's also follow-up for the DK.
Yeah, the ulti's great with like DK initiation or even Tusk going in, just like safely from away, dumping damage into these guys. And they're squishy.
Quiz question for you, Purge. Can you cookie out of kinetic field?
No.
I assume no.
That's correct. Effie, right?
You can't do any motion out of kinetic
Yeah,
field.
you cannot. I mean, you trust
Yes, you can.
me.
You can
Blink
Rubik
strike.
lift. You can Rubik lift.
Okay, but that thing works with a whole different set of laws than the rest of Dota. That spell is dumb.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Either way, break against Dragonite can be a nice way to burst him, so they have some good offensive potential. It's pretty good against Nature's Prophet potentially too. So.
Yeah, it's a strong year. It's one of Tofu's best. I would say for sure. It's something that can play with the Pango, but I feel like there's a little bit of counter synergy just in terms of the Bushwhack stun and
Ooh,
Pango and the Underlord.
that's follow-up, but not the follow-up we're used to seeing.
It's great against Pango.
That's true.
Actually, I like it a lot because I think the Shard Inkswell here, like if you're putting it on this Dragon Knight, like you're not afraid of that Hoodwink break. It's a hard dispel, and you're not concerned about the Dragon Knight getting burst by this Hoodwink Sharpshooter. And it's a really cheap and easy to get hard dispel, and something Grimstroke goes for anyway. And now you have the double Dragon Tail, you have the Soulbind for Pango, like you mentioned, Sheaves, and you also have Silence versus Disruptor if you can somehow like catch him on the backline with that DK Blinkin, right? But it does give you something to play with. Like a max level Inkswell on a Blink DK, that's still a lot of damage, right? It's not the same as a Mortimer's Kisses, but this used to be a really old school combo, and I think it works pretty well.
Even works great with the Tusk. You can roll in with the Inkswell. Works as well.
Yeah, it's a cool pick. It doesn't have the best win rate, but it's been like a very regular pick of the pro scene for many years, despite its low pub win rate.
I don't understand the low pub win rate. I really don't.
It takes coordination. I mean,
Yeah.
the way that pros abuse the hero has been Inkswell and Initiator for years, and then it was abuse your ulti to coordinate with your team for years. But in pubs, number one, you can't rely on your ally to initiate the moment you Inkswell. How many times you get Inkswell and you're like, well, I guess I have to go in now.
Or to pick something that's actually good
Exactly.
to combo with
They're-
it.
It's unlikely that they're going to actually pick the right heroes to combo with it. So it just ends up being this kind of like disconnected hero. And most pub players still will do the like max Inkswell. So if you want to play like a different skill build, I think it's more viable.
But it's man, it's got a low win rate in pubs. Like it's consistently like bottom 3.
Bottom 20 for sure. Definitely bottom 10 for a long time. It's been like 45% win rate.
Yeah.
I think it's just a very whelming hero.
It's whelming. Yeah, it's whelming.
Sure. No, the thing about it is like there's no game-breaking spell that Grimstroke has that in the late game scenario other supports can like for example, a well-placed Ag Static Storm from Disruptor in the late game can make or break a game. Whereas Grimstroke, the only like massive impact he can have at those stages by himself is getting that Dark Portrait, which is very hard to get anyway if you're Grim because you're looking for that lens, you're looking for that Force Staff, you're looking for that Shard. Like until he gets to that point, which is too hard for him, he doesn't have that game-breaking impact. Right? It's just you have to exploit him when he's strong, but afterwards he does fall off. So I think that's the issue with Grim's win rate. But he does provide nice things for his team, like wave clear is never an issue when you have a Grim. Like your supports can be the ones to defend lanes or push out side lanes if you have a Grim. And you know, the essence of making any kind of blink play with a DK, any kind of like aggressive play, any kind of smoke into the enemy jungle, you need to get your lanes out fast. So if you've got your Prophet and you've got your Grimstroke who can do it while your carry's jungling a little bit, then you can actually you can cross the river earlier, you can make these aggressive plays. So that's what I've always liked about Grim.
Oh, a Slark coming out.
Garachio's first Slark, I believe, of the tournament. He was going deep, like his top like 4 heroes were all banned, so.
And I don't think it's a bad Slark game per se. I just think that if Liquid play really well in Snowball, like they have ways to kill the Slark. If you have 3 points in Phantom's Embrace on Grimstroke and your DK is going in with an Inkswell, like you're gonna chain stun the Slark until he dies early on. But once he gets items later on, like he should shred through the DK. He's a natural Silver Edge buyer. He can pick up a lot of Essence Shift stacks. He's not really afraid of the Tusk initiation so much either because he can just like purge, you know, the creep wave, and he's got the Shadow Dance ready after the punch. He also has ways of getting out of Sprout. So I can see the logic here. I think it's a pretty good hero. I just think it's punishable when Liquid are snowballing, or rather if Liquid snowballs.
Yeah, I agreed with that. And it can frontline for gaming Gladiators. They're lacking that a little bit, but in some ways, his save is maybe a little bit less good. If it's like an Underlord bodying in the front and he's there to depth shroud him, it could be really effective.
Oh, they go for the Ursa.
That just seems like a good pick to me. Good against Underlord in lane, one of the few carries that can actually beat him.
It's not that great against Slark, but I mean, it's like a last pick Slark, and Liquid already has Furion. You're going to lane the Furion against Slark. That is not a remotely good matchup for that hero. And I don't think a Disruptor or a Hoodwink will turn the tide with a Furion Tusk. Like that's you're gonna lose that lane. And then so Mickey's just like, okay, well, I'm gonna pick a hero that is good against every other hero in the game other than the Slark. And honestly, I feel like I've seen Ursa's burst a Slark in the late game, especially with some like Grimstroke, Inkswell, or like a DK stun coming in.
I think that they were going to run into some mid-game damage issues with the DK building like more utility just so he can make these aggressive plays. But later on in the game, like Ursa will be able to shred through most of these heroes. And when he gets to the point where he just has like a blink basher, he can destroy this Disruptor, he can destroy this Hoodwink. And later on in the game, when he gets that Abyssal, they can actually take the fights on the Pango first, right? Ursa does give you a lot. And the cool thing about this Ursa is that the rest of the 4 players in Liquid can play without him for a long time. Like, he does not need to be there for the early fights.
Grim can go anywhere, too. With any of these melee heroes, and Inkswell, any of them, they become super powered. And then Furion can TP in. I really like this Liquid draft.
Yeah.
This is such a well-rounded draft.
I'm hearing from all 2 of you so far, but Kev, you also very much on board with Team Liquid's draft then?
Yeah, I like that they used a support to counter the mid Pango. I think that's effective. They got the core matchups they want. I think Gaming Gladiators lacks initiation is another thing that they have issues with, where on the Liquid side they have like 4 different ways to jump people if they want. So I just feel like Liquid's draft does more and has good counters, and thus it should be easier for them.
I think for GG, if this Underlord gets a good Crimson timing, which we've seen Underlords being picked simply to buy the Crimson Guard as early as possible, most of Liquid's early game damage is going to be physical, right? Especially while this Ursa's farming. So GG can run into a nice point if this Underlord has a good lane, which Liquid have to stop him from having, where they can actually be the ones taking objectives, be the ones applying pressure. So yeah, I would say it's definitely dependent on how this Underlord's game goes for GG.
Well, so far, Gaming Gladiators is the only team since TI11 that has been able to take a series off of Team Liquid. Of course, if they want to do that here, they got to start with one win. Can they do that in game 1, or maybe they'll get it in game 2? We're finding out if Team Liquid indeed has as good of a draft as my panel expects. We're heading over to OD, Pixel, and Fog for the game.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Shiva. Yes, Gaming Gladiators up against Liquid Fogs. What do you make of this one? Last few times we've seen these teams meet, Gaming Gladiators, they have ended up having the upper hand here today. What do the drafts say to you? Are we going to see something a bit different this time round?
I'm liking Liquid's aggression. I think they've got a great way to set tempo, set pace of the game. I think Gaming's gone for a bit of a greedier style, going for this Slark as the last pick. I'm really liking when Liquid's getting this type of draft when they're playing this well, as we've seen them just dominate over and over again. This is their bread and butter. I mean, having this Ursa, having Zion, his Prophet, likely to do that Aghanims build that we saw him do, him kind of pioneer it from the offlane. Very good versus Pango. So for me, I'm liking Liquids a lot in the early game. If Gaming's able to stall things out, that can be the big success for them, for this Slark in particular. But either way, I mean, even if they stall too much, it depends on how much it leads and stuff like that. So for me, I'm liking what Liquid's got. But yeah, I like what Effie was talking about for Ace. I think he's going to be a crucial element to trying to slow down that momentum that Liquid might be able to set.
Yeah, and what do you think it is about the Underlord hero that kind of works really nicely for Gaming Gladiators this game? Because it's not really the go-to offlaner for a lot of teams right now.
No, that's the one big risk, is really like how the lane is going to end up going. It can be a pretty volatile hero, especially if you leave the Ursa, the Monkey King. These two heroes can just dominate. Ace just really likes to play it, number one. Number two, the heroes that they saw, where it was pretty good for it, right? You saw the DK, you saw the Nature's Prophet, and you saw Tusk. So versus all three heroes, Pit and Firestorm, incredibly effective, either at setting up defensive plays or aggressive ones, stopping snowballs, etc., since you are going to be rooted.
Okay. And you think it's unlikely that Liquid will sort of find opportunities to threaten Ace with the safe lane duo, the Ursa and the Grim? Like, how safe is Ace down here?
I mean, honestly, it's a volatile lane. It can really go. It could be a disaster for Ace pretty quickly if they're not careful. But I think Tofu, Hoodwink, this is one of the better heroes in order to secure lanes as well, too. So I think if Tofu does a good job, then Ace is going to have a good lane.
Let's see what Tofu can do here on the Hoodwink.
And top, I think this is the lane I'm a bit the most afraid of, to be honest with you. Disruptor and Slark versus Tusk and Nature's Prophet. This sounds honestly pretty miserable for a Slark and for a Disruptor. You're constantly just going to get dumped.
Not a fun lane for Dyrachyo.
He's
At least
dead.
not at the start, and indeed Zai, with the treants out, takes him out. That's first blood for Zai.
He just literally put one tree in front of him and blocked the spot, and Dyrachyo didn't actually cut a tree down in time.
I mean, I don't think that lane gets any easier for the Slark either. I mean, sure, eventually when you've got some points in Dark Pact, but it's going to take a while until you've leveled that up. Highly likely that Zai's just going to have full control of the lane until you get there.
This is, like I said, this is the most miserable lane for sure. For the side of Gaming Gladiators, of course. Mid, I mean, Nisha, he should have a good time also, so I'd say bottom is the one that Gaming can win for sure. Mid can come out as a trade a bit there for Quinn, but top is definitely going to just be a struggle and a catch-up mechanism for Dyrachyo.
Yeah, and overall, do you like the Gaming Gladiators opted to pick Quinn's hero early this draft? We've seen a few times that they are able to get like the Pango as the last pick, but here today against Liquid, they were like, if we want Quinn on it, we've got to take it super early.
I mean, why not, right? This hero, like we said, I think this hero, even when he has counters versus him, tends to have a pretty successful game. We saw the other day, or yesterday, in fact, when Quinn was playing it, and they had like Bloodseeker and everything too. He was 0-4 at like the 35-minute, but his impact was still there. It was still very significant. So this game, yeah, there's some hard stuns from a DK. There's, of course, the Soulbind plus the silence that comes from the Grimstroke, and I imagine Zai will go Aghanims, so there is some answers and annoyances.
That was nice there from Boxy. Little dodge of the glimpse pullback with the snowball that allows him to stay on top of Celery, and they're going to be able to take him out. Liquid, off to a very solid start here on the top lane.
Immediately bully Dyrachyo, too. He's got to jump away. A lane where you're forced to go Dark Pact and pounce at your first two levels. Like, you don't have your Essence Shift to trade. You can't trade.
It's going to be a difficult start for Dyrachyo.
Yeah.
He's just got to make sure that he doesn't go down too many times and then he's able to sort of retire to the jungle. You know, once he has sort of a few points in the Dark Pact, ideally, of course, picks up that 6 in the lane. But until that point, he's not going to have fun. Just not that much, really, that Celery can do to help him.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. That's why it's like, you know, it's a risk. You blast pick the Slark, you're like, okay, Dyrachyo, he hasn't played it yet this tournament. For the game and everything, if he's able to get hits off, you can see how they could have won it, but there's things that he absolutely could just struggle versus. laning phase difficult, and then there will be forms of control and stuff that comes out from Grim.
I'm not opposed to taking the occasional bounty.
I mean, they did pick it, though. You kind of have to always expect and anticipate that Liquid is going to flex their Nature's Prophet. Zai is literally the one that did it probably the most out of anybody in the offlane. So Quinn, he's only a couple last hits behind in the mid matchup right now, but Nisha absolutely winning. Ace is actually doing very well. So this is like, it's always important to look at how the support's doing and how much he's able to trade and stuff like that to set up success for this Underlord. So Ace, he's having the best time of his course.
Yeah, he should be super fine now. He's got the Ring of Health out.
2 points in aura as well.
Yeah, crazy amount of right click to get some good denies in against Mickey.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit. The Vanguard will give him a pretty good chunk of protection. Of course, Ursa is probably one of the better heroes to deal with Vanguard from a safe lane and stuff like that. But yeah, this is an excellent start here for Ace. And probably a pretty needed one. That's why I was saying, like, I really liked Effie's point about talking about Ace so much when she was saying at the panel that he's kind of going to be the key for early game. Because if his lane was strugglesome, like if it was difficult, then how is he going to help and bail out these other two lanes that are going to be difficult? He's going to have to be pretty active, moving around the map, trying to reestablish things after the aggression that's being set from the side of Liquid. Celery.
Top lane, Boxy. He's going to be able to get the grab onto Celery, but a good glimpse will separate Zai for now. He's going to turn over towards Boxy instead, but he's still got the snowball up. The Thunder Strike, it's not going to quite be enough. He'll put the Fairy Fire.
Can he get him?
I mean, Duracho really wants this. He's going in with the Dark Pact, and the body block to the treants is going to stop him.
Look,
Zai
he had him.
making sure that Boxy can step away. Now Zai turns around. He's got the Sprout. He's trapped him up. A Duracho taken down. Liquid continue with the outplays on this top lane.
That was, what, how low did it end up dropping on Boxy? It was obviously less than one hit, but it was like a 10 HP or something like that. Zai, clutch little move there with the Treant.
Oh, it's going to feel bad as well. You know, we've all been there as Slark players. When you're so close to getting that kill in the lane and you can't get that last hit in. That's definitely going to be a bit of pain there for Duracho.
It's pain for Duracho, and it sets up for potential early movement. Nisha, he's 6 already, so they can start rotating around this DK. They can even bring the Nature's Prophet if they see a move to look for this tower. And yeah, NP getting these kills, if Boxy gives him some solo XP, this is a level 6 NP at like 7.5 minutes, maybe even before that.
Oh, look at this pressure on mid. Boxy, he's making the movement. Nisha, with the Elder Dragon form, already doing a fair bit of damage to the tier 1 tower.
Quinn is very low. Okay, he's got Arcane Boost, so it's going to be uh-oh. He's got to be careful how far he steps up. Now with the mana, though, should be safe. Boxy's making the long route. So yeah, he's giving solo XP to Zai. He wants to get that Wrath, and they want to try to shut down Ace a bit. He does have the Vanguard. He is tanky, but if they can build up the Fury swipes, they can kill him.
I mean, how prepared are Gaming Gladiators for this sort of move?
They see him now with the Sentry. They'll just go for the easy one.
Yeah, they're going to go straight for Tofu. They'll trap him in with the shards. He'll try and turn with the Bushwhack, but it won't be enough to stop them from taking him down. Liquid, 4 kills now.
Super strong early game. And look at mid. Zai, he's coming in. This is pre-6, but he wants to threaten tower a bit here too.
And Quinn, he's already used the Swashbuckle. See if we get some body blocks here from Zai. He's doing nicely with the Treant.
Oh,
it's I mean, Zai.
What the hell,
From the
Zai?
top lane to the mid lane. Zai off to a hot start here this game. He's more than happy to take the profit, as you say. You know, Liquid, they have that flexibility. Quite a few of the top teams right now. Safe lane, off lane, both cores very, very able to play it. And Zai, this time, getting his hands on the Nature's Prophet and doing absolute fantastic work here in the first 7 minutes.
What are they feeding this man? These body blocks are ridiculous. Honestly, some of these kills you probably wouldn't anticipate by any means. This is pretty amazing stuff. See this consumable gold spent. Insania is having to bring quite a bit to protect Mickey versus the spam that's coming out from Ace and Tofu. Can't quite connect.
Yeah, they're really trying to set something up here for Quinn. I'll see if Quinn still finds an opportunity to go.
Under vision now.
Unlikely to be caught here, Liquid.
Nisha's rotating over.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
I mean, they know how desperate Gaming Gladiators are to find some sort of kill.
Quinn.
And they're going to look to take the fight straight back at them, as you say. They'll go for Tofu. We'll see if Quinn can make it out. He should be fine. He's still got Rolling Thunder. And
Yeah.
Ace is by his side.
Insania doesn't have the point of
But look at
silence.
this move
yet.
top. Nisha, he's TP'd up there. He's ready to help out on them take down Duracho. So from the aggressive play down bottom that they're able to punish, Nisha gets involved there. TP's top. I mean, Liquid, they're firing on all cylinders here in this early game.
They're stopping the early game. Nisha is going to have a blink pretty much done after this tower with treads and an upgraded wand. This is a big deal. Setting the tempo very quickly as we said they would.
Quinn
gets one back.
He gets him a kill on the board here. Takes out Insania bottom lane, but yeah, there's pressure on the top tower. We'll see what they do about it. Tofu's around, but he's got to be careful. Boxy, if he catches wind of him, he'll go straight for him.
They don't have great ways to defend towers until Ace is the one that wants to show up. And right now, Ace, he doesn't want to go up there. He's definitely at risk of dying potentially if he does. So, I mean, he has the Fiend's Cave, but yeah, he can't go up there.
And Boxy, he's got the catch on Tofu. A bit of a body block sets up for Nisha to get in with the Dragon Tail stun. Another kill for Nisha.
I think this is the fastest Blink treads on DK I've seen in a very, very long time.
We might have to stat for that.
Radiant's bottom
Blink, treads, wand, and bracer. It's all the little items as well on top.
That's true.
That is pretty crazy.
Nearly 5 minutes faster than the average.
We probably had like a brown boot Blink that was faster, I'd imagine.
That's true. That's definitely likely.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
that makes
attack.
sense.
I mean, yeah.
That was
must
probably
have been
brown
a
boot
completely naked Blink rush.
Yeah.
That game, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they're absolutely crushing it here, and they're looking for more. Smoking up. Insania still doesn't put a point in silence. That's a bit curious. I thought maybe versus the Pango and versus the Slark, he'd want that 1 point at least in the Phantom, but prioritizing the 3 points in Inkswell for now.
Radiant's bottom tower.
Boxy gets a haste, and he's going to set up. He's in with the snowball. They jump forward. Nisha's got the follow-up.
Okay, that's the Inkswell with the Blink. There we go. Makes sense. Wow.
It's, this early game, it just feels like it's all getting a little bit too much here for Gaming Gladiators.
It's too fast. It's just so quick they're able to make moves. And Insania, even though he's had to buy so much regen and stuff, his gold was impacted a little bit. The Tusk actually gets Arcane Boots
I mean,
early.
they have vision on Duracho here with this cliff ward. He's got to be a bit careful. He will get back out into the safety of the shadows, but they're getting bullied out of this top lane now by Zai. Already half the way on towards the Aghanims.
Does know the ward's there, though, so he will be able to get that cheeky D ward. And it's his sentry, so gets the gold himself. But quick moves.
I mean, Liquid's heading up here.
Yep, they want to go for him again. They want to bully him out. There's rotation coming from Gaming, though. What can they find? Level 6 is on Celery.
Quinn wants to go.
They're leashed.
Get the soulbind off, and look at this. He's out of there. He's heading into the portal. He's able to escape. It does mean that Nisha gets left behind, but Insania is able to make the most of the fact that was laid down there by Ace. He'll use that to get out.
That was, he was so quick. It was instant from Insania.
Just like, oh, that's my ticket out of there. Good luck, Nisha.
Oh, that's hilarious. But they get the bigger kill. They get the all-important one. Nisha does get slowed down, does get brought down. And Quinny's the one who gets the kill, gets that last hit. So enabling him to get closer and closer toward this defusal, which they need. They need pretty much everything from Quinn and Ace this game in order to set up Duracho to even make it to the later stages. So it does look like his timing for that defusal will be good.
And what's Duracho going after the Echo? I don't know. You imagine it would just be Echo Ags?
I would imagine so this game, yeah.
Oh, that'll get the brush off.
I think he's buying the Obs and Sentries himself mostly. Yeah, he bought them again. It always makes sense for the Slug players to get the Sentries, but he's buying the Obs as well. He's like, guys, I need some more coverage up here. Liquid trying to continue their pacing.
Yeah. Look at the set up on Tofu. Not a lot to be done. Too much damage here from the support duo combo. Boxy and Insania right now. Duracho swinging over. They'll look for Boxy. And of course, with the pounce, they'll put a stop to that TP. They'll be able to punish Liquid a little bit for that.
Nicely done.
Trade.
And Quinn secures the last hit. So now Defusal is online. Okay. So he is still pretty much neck and neck with all the cores. His damage is going to be very nice. We see Zai, as I mentioned before, he's the one who pioneered it for the most part that I saw, at least in so many games. He's getting closer and closer to that axe. He almost has it done. So versus Pango, it's always excellent. Extra forms of little roots to disrupt him from going for his rolls. And just the benefit of it just being up every 60 seconds.
Warriors of the wood.
Let's see what they can do with this Diffusal Blade reveal from Quinn.
Static Storm back online. They're trying to match aggression here.
Dire are scanning.
Mika, he's about to have Battle Fury finished, so neck and neck with the Slark, but he's going to start quickly pulling ahead of him if they're not able to find this Ursa at all.
No, absolutely. I mean, yeah, Duracho's right. Yeah, he does want to get the Diffusal on top of the Echo, so he's going to look to get kills.
Interesting.
Get the glimpse back onto the DK, but Nisha's pretty tanky. He's going to get some safety as well inside of the snowball.
Oh.
The Rolling Thunder's there. It's going to knock Nisha back a little bit. The follow-up bushwhack into the sharp shot will take Nisha out.
Good moves.
See if they can get more here, Gaming Gladiators. They've got the slow from the defusal on towards bo3. bo3 also to fall.
Ace, I mean, great stuff with his Fiend's Gate getting involved in Insania. He's able to get away. Love the invasive play, and Ace just coming in too. And yeah, interesting. I mean, maybe he will commit for it, just wanting to have this double defusal versus DK. It is annoying for DK's and Ursa. Their mana pool is pretty low, so if they're just getting Pango hit, plus a defusal Slark hitting them, could be something cool. Trying to just, I guess, match the aggression, right, rather than wait for timings. So that's cool.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, Duracho's going to want to fight. Whilst Mickey, on the other hand, he wants after this Battle Fury, of course, to be able to get like the Blink and the BKB before he's forced to be involved.
No, definitely. 11-5, but Gaming, they've caught up that net worth at the least. And this is also, they've already taken 2 towers for Liquid too, so right, they have that gold influx from towers, and it's Gaming who's actually being more efficient around the map without having that mid tower taken out yet. Zai now, Aghanims is done. Wrath of Nature's gonna be back up in about 30 seconds. But yeah, Gaming done some excellent moves to recover stuff. And the usual builds that we're seeing, I mean, Celery, he almost has drums finished up, so it's just like that rush that they do so often, all these auras. And Ace, pretty close to getting those grooves. So that's also, there's so many different things to talk about, of course, because like, there's this Nature's Prophet who goes Aghanims for fighting, but then they're not gonna have that Greaves carrier on the flip side, where Gaming has it super early from this Underlord.
Quinn, he's gonna be able to close the gap on Zai with the Rolling Thunder. bo3's by his side. The catch onto Zai here with the bushwhack, but the save's there with the snowball. bo3 takes Zai out the side. They'll be able to turn around now with the numbers turning up with the Soulbind instead of onto the 2 of them. Quinn in trouble. He'll get the shield crash off.
Tanky.
He's indeed reducing a lot of that incoming damage. Quinn's able to walk away. They couldn't quite finish up the Pango, and now Insania and Nisha, they're going to try and get a kill out of this. Mickey has turned up to the fight, but he's only got a Battle Fury. He probably does not want to be here, because it's a triple kill for Ace. 3 dead on Liquid. Mickey, he's got to get out.
Can they get a glimpse? Nisha, he's trying to hide, trying to go back in.
But they're going to find him. He's dragged back into the kinetic field. Gaming Gladiators, they're going to look to take down the Dragon Knight as well.
Beautiful.
4 dead. Ultra kill for Ace.
Ace the Underlord, 403, top net worth. Great stuff. The mech saving Quinn, so he can get the time to get the shield crash. The amount of damage he did in this fight on this Underlord too, he's by far the highest. 2,500 damage done compared to 1,500, or 24, sorry.
No, this is just classic Ace stuff
Yeah.
there, really. Give him this sort of offlaner, he gets the mech, and then the Vanguard, and then he's joining the action, and he's getting the kills. We see it from him like on his Dooms, and he's showing us it again on the Underlord this
I mean, click him right now. Look at his bonus damage. Plus 420.
There we go.
Beautiful.
Lots and lots of damage here from Ace. Top net worth.
3 shots the Centaur, big Centaur, 1 shot's the small one.
I mean, he's the carry. He's the carry right now.
Truly is. And you could clearly, like in that fight in particular, you could see the big reasoning of why they wanted it.
Yep.
I was mentioning versus those cores, versus DK, versus NP. You can't clear the treants. Another grab. Gaming.
I mean, they're doing fantastic here now. They're getting the lead, and Liquid, we saw in that last engagement, it is at the point now where Gaming Gladiators, they're very much ready to fight as a 5-man. Liquid, on the other hand, they have got the blink now, Mickey, but really he wants that next item.
Yeah.
Until he feels confident turning up.
It's honestly fighting in like a 5v5 situation is pretty difficult until they have like Nisha with the BKB, because he's quite vulnerable now versus all this immense
look at this
damage.
in the mid. Ace, he's got the setup, but the Soulbind will hop back the 2 of them.
They get the glimpse.
Let's see if Zai can walk away from this. He's going to have to deal with the fact that Ace is in on top of him and gets some pretty hefty right clicks in. I mean, bo3, he's ended up in the river there with that snowball and will not be able to walk away from them.
I mean,
At
Ace,
the least sort of takes the attention away from the rest of his team, bo3.
Ace is invulnerable, it feels like. He does the disassemble play, so had Vanguard, disassembles for Hood. Now he's gonna go for Pipe, so Pipe Greaves, they're gonna snowball pretty hard here on Gaming.
Yeah.
And difficult for Liquid to fight pre-BKB in particular, at least on the DK. Ursa might even be forced to go on before going for Basher and stuff like that too. This is a very good window for Gaming to set pace themselves, and very good vision in order to do so as well. They have this ward that's already been up for 2 minutes around the triangle. Like, Duracho snuck in and somehow placed this.
Radiant are scanning.
Ace, yeah, Pipe about to pretty much be done. So Atrophy, Aura, Greaves, Pipe, definitely some damage issues that are going to be kicking in.
I mean, what is it? What is the plan now for Liquid? Are you just going to try and force fights as the four of you, try and find some pickoffs, or are you just sort of sitting back and hoping that Gaming Gladiators don't come looking for your Ursa right now?
Honestly, you have to like kind of look for these individual pickoffs, but Gaming's not really splitting up to give it to you. So I think if that's the case, you have to just at least finish one of these BKBs, like Nisha's in particular. You're just going to get run down. You're going to die to this overwhelming damage. Zinsania.
He'll turn and drop the ultimate, but he's got nothing else to save him there.
This is incredible stuff right here. Tower mid, now going to be taken out. A 4K lead has been claimed. And they're moving quick as well.
Dracho's feeling super strong.
And the TP top Zai, he can't get away.
I mean, he's going to step back into the port. He's going to get back over,
but Ace is there.
He's there waiting for him. And back up top, Dracho, I bet he got a fair few essence shifts from that, right?
He got a solo kill.
And he's going to maybe be able to get more. He's going to look towards Boxy. Boxy will get the snowball off. But backup's coming in. They get the glimpse as well on a Mickey. They've dragged back the Ursa. Mickey, he'll try and run away with the enrage here, but the root's up from Ace. See if it's going to be enough. They've got the Thunder Strike. The support's desperately trying to help Mickey get out of there. But, I mean, the shards, it's not going to hold them back. Ace,
Boxy.
He takes him down with a right click. Double kill for Ace. They're diving the base.
Look at his bonus damage.
20 minutes in, they're going past the tier 3s. They'll get themselves the team wipe. Gaming Gladiators, they are slamming down Liquid here. Liquid, they had a good start off the lanes, but at this point, that is a distant memory. Gaming Gladiators just full-on aggression, and Liquid, they cannot deal with it.
Consecutive back-to-back one-team fights, and now with the stacks, I mean, Ace has a free rapier. They've got a Pango. It's Roche time. Uh-oh, Liquid. They need to stall for BKBs, but Gaming's just not giving them the time.
No, absolutely not. Gaming Gladiators, they're not giving the opportunity for Liquid to do anything right now. Full control of the game, full ags on Quinn.
Full ags on what the? I mean, Quinn even massive now too. Ace definitely the difference maker though. 7, 0, and 5. This Underlord.
That's fantastic.
He's done everything. Everything to bring them back with the 2 supports. And they're gonna keep it going. Don't let them farm the BKBs.
Let's have a look. Gaming Gladiators.
They can pick and choose their targets.
Who will they find? They're going to go for Boxy. Just a bit of a slow poke. I mean, that's what they need to take Boxy down. They don't have to full commit. They've still got more to play with.
Quinn's looking for more.
They get the vision. They get the glimpse back on Insania. Both of Liquid supports taken down.
I don't think I've seen an Underlord having over like 150 atrophy damage for the last... He's literally had it for like the last 9 minutes or something.
Dude,
he's always stacked up.
Great time here. 8-0. So yeah, he smiles as well there from Ace. He loves it. And yeah, getting that halberd, that's going to be a huge nuisance for Liquid. And just add on to the unkillability that he currently has. 8-0-6. He's not dying. And he probably won't.
He probably won't. Yeah,
bottom.
The itemization. Duracho again.
Duracho's in.
Nisha.
He's in with the backup. That's Nisha dead. Instania, not much he can do to help out. Throws out an ultimate, but they don't care. Here, Gaming Gladiators. Ace, he's going to start running him down. Let's see if they want to dive tier 3s. They are strong. They can get away with this dive.
Tanky.
Yeah, they're going in.
Why not?
They're going in beyond the tier 3. Take down Instania. And top lane, Mickey. He's in trouble. Quinn. He's able to take him out. In with a shield crash and a swashbuckle. He's gone. Boxy's trying to fight the 3 of them, but I think it might even be close to over, Fox.
I think it might just be. I was about to say they might just call this pretty soon. They're not. Where do they go? They can't get outside their base.
Do?
Everyone's just running at them. There's literally no space to farm these BKBs. Nisha, he's been pretty close to it for like the last 5 minutes, and they just hunt him and find him every time. These Fiendscapes, this aggression, it's been phenomenal.
And they've sort of been in that 12 kills for a while, right? They haven't really got anything. They got like what the one, but other than that, in the last 8 minutes, they only got 1 kill, Liquid.
And it was on
It's
Tofu.
all been Gaming Gladiators, Gaming Gladiators, Gaming Gladiators, Gaming Gladiators.
Since actually in about the last kill that honestly even those were just support kills.
Oh, these are just
It was 2 kills on Tofu, 1 kill on Celery in the last 13 minutes. That's it. Duracho.
Oh, he's going in. I mean, can they punish this? He's got an Aegis. He doesn't care. I mean, they're going to be able to glimpse back Boxy. He's keeping his distance, but Duracho, one more hit. He's got another kill. Duracho gets another stack. He's up to 13 permanent.
Just playing, I mean, that was incredibly aggressive them from Duracho, and they still can't punish it. Ace, this is one of the most fun Underlords ever. Greaves, Halberd, he has pretty much his late game items already in his bags, and it's only 24 minutes in.
Yep, and he's going to treat himself to the Hex.
Sure.
If the game even goes long enough for him to buy it.
Liquid, it's still just, I mean, now they have the BKBs, but they've come, at least 2 of them, but it's come out so late. And Mickey almost just gets soloed.
He might still, oh my goodness, the shards will help him out, but Ace is coming over. The blink, it's there just in time.
They're diving.
They're going to turn for vaqti instead. Immediately, Duracho's ready to go in. He's going up to the tier 4s underneath him. Diving in, looking for Zai. Zai pops the BKB. Duracho will be able to chase him down, take him out. Nisha will manage to back off with the BKB himself. You see Mickey jump in, look to try and take something, but he gets disarmed. And Duracho just turns straight back in on him.
He's gone.
He's out of the game. They don't have buybacks on their cores here. vaqti, I mean, can they catch him out? They can't. They know it's over. It really, really is. Here, 25 minutes in. GG is called Gaming Gladiators with this game won. I mean, you know, a little slow to start in the lanes for them, but then they just exploded. And Liquid, they couldn't stop them at all.
No, holy crap, Ace. Quinn tips Ace at the end, honestly. Ace was the absolute big difference maker. Yes, there were some nice moves, especially when they catch Nisha in the jungle with the smoke from Quinn and Celery, but it's Ace who comes in time and time again.
That was insane.
Protecting his buddies, getting the setup. I mean, this was, I think, the best performance of Underlord I may have ever seen.
Yeah,
and I've seen a lot of Underlord.
It just makes you think, well, how come they've not got the ladder on the Underlord more?
It was set up
11-0-10. I reckon they're going to be looking for more games in the future where they feel like they could slip this into the draft race.
Especially if like you're going to go for these. The Tano was talking about a DK and stuff is getting more popular. If these tanky heroes like that are getting more popular, that's where Underlord is absolutely able to thrive. What a game from gaming! Holy crap!
Yeah, absolutely amazing stuff in Game 1 from Gaming Gladiators as they'll take the first game here at this series.
What a performance! Gaming Gladiators, they indeed take that first game, and it looked so rough at the start. I mean, you see this Nature's Prophet by Zai, the great body block, Slark having a rough time, and then you see Quinn dying mid on his Pango, and I'm gonna be honest, I thought that was gonna be a fairly quick game the other way, but what we did not see was just Ace just chilling, having a time, and then when it was time to come together, the whole team just leveled up, Purge.
Yeah, it really changed so rapidly. We're watching all those amazing kills as I got in the laning stage. DK got a super fast blink dagger, and then they started going for kills, and it just slightly disconnected a little bit. And the crazy thing was that the whole time Gaming Gladiator had the same net worth as them, despite being behind. And then all of a sudden it just became a train, like a train came through and just said the game is over.
I think the easiest way to simplify it is that Underlord had a great game. The rest of Liquid did, but their Ursa needed time to come online and use the bulk of their damage, right? We talked about potential damage issues that they were going to run into once DK gets the link, which is why it was so important to win their lanes, and they did on Liquid. But Underlord built that damage mitigation. He had his Greaves, he had his Vanguard early on. The second he was ready to join the fights, he just changed everything. And when he got his pipe too, it was just over at that point. There was no way for Liquid to output any damage. Their Ursa was just not online yet.
Yeah, I think the pipe was really smart. Like, we were talking about what Ace's item build should be in that game, and it was actually kind of hard to come up with like what it should be, because, you know, against an Ursa, like, the Vanguard's not that good as the game goes later and later, because he just does this like overwhelming physical damage. But the pipe, he disassembled the Vanguard into the pipe because the way that Liquid were winning fights was with the DK plus the Grimstroke combo. So he's like, okay, if I disassemble the Vanguard so I can get the pipe earlier and have it and just be there in the fights, I can combo break this, Greaves my teammates, and then nobody is ever going to die. And that's like the moment that the game started going south for Liquid. But to get to that point, they had to be relatively even net worth, which is what I found. Like, we were like pogging about it backstage. It's like, it's not the most flashy thing to be getting dumpstered in lanes and then still not losing that badly. But we were talking like, if this is a Div 2 game, 100%, there's a 6K net worth lead at 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Not even close with how those lanes went. But these top tier teams, Gaming Gladiators especially, they're really good at like understanding that they're behind, giving their cores solo XP in the lanes, just doing like single pulls of the easy camp to constantly shove the lane out and get support XP so they're not stealing XP from the core. They're really good at like stacking the jungle camps. Like whatever they were doing to maintain the net worth lead was incredibly, or the net worth not that big of a disadvantage was incredibly impressive for how bad the lanes went.
And the other cool thing is that they really just identified that weakness in the Liquid draft. Their laning stage was great, but the Prophet pre-Ags, he probably had to play a bit like a coward.
11-0.
I mean, this looks crazy to me.
No, I mean, that was an incredible performance by Ace. Like, he really did anchor the draft. He did anchor his team, and he 100% delivered.
The crazy thing is that when we told them we wanted to highlight the offlaners, it was at like 6 minutes into the game when we thought it was going to be Zai. And then it just ended up being the complete opposite side that like you see Ace have like the best performance of the tournament.
Yeah, but I mean, Zai played a phenomenal early game too. He was with the body blocks and the cool sprout block on the Slark and the TPing mid and taking the tower. I mean, that was one of the first like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
One of the best first 5 minutes of Nature's Prophet that we'd seen in a long time. And the way that it swung so rapidly was just ridiculous. But even Duraccio on the Slark played a great game. Like, his lane got shut down so hard. His early game was abysmal, but he wasn't that behind in net worth.
No.
Like, he should have been like 3K net worth, but he somehow had 5K net worth after the laning stage was over. Not sure how he did that. Not sure how they secured the jungle for him, but that was just really cool.
I think a lot of top teams do that, though. Like, the fact that they pick Slark into Nature's Prophet. These guys are the major winners. They know that there's obviously going to be an off-lane Nature's Prophet pivot that happens there because it dumpsters the Slark in lane. So whatever they did, it all stemmed from understanding first that we're picking this Slark because we think it's a good Slark game. Duraccio probably asked for Slark because he's just feeling it, and it's one of his best heroes. But the lane is not going to go well. So when he dies twice, I bet if we asked them in an interview, they say, oh yeah, we expected it. Like, obviously you don't want to die twice. You want to not die, maybe get a little dumpster in CS, but then recover. But still, dying twice is like, when it happens in the game, if you're Ace and your carry dies twice, it's like, that's already been talked about probably in the draft. You pick that knowingly that lane is not going to go well and you're going to recover.
It kind of felt to me like in their mid game, they just weren't worried about Prophet because he didn't have Ags yet. And then Slark is basically covered against Dragonite with Dark Pact. And between Dark Pact and his ultimate, there was like basically no threats to Slark himself dying. It was kind of the same for Underlord as well. So they just like frontlined, kept winning fights, got map control out of it, kept getting map control. And by the time Liquid's items came online, they just got picked off a little bit in like glimpse plays and stuff. And it just snowballed completely from there. It's kind of what it feels like.
I want to talk about the gates. Because the gates are great. For
both teams.
For both teams, this is true. So Underlord is not one of my favorite heroes, but if it's played well, like we just saw Ace play it exceptionally well, then the Fiend's Gate is used very frequently for very many reasons, including if Insania just happens to oh, don't mind me, I'll just go to the other side of the map and save myself. Obviously, he was the only survivor from that ordeal, but I love that it's being used in this way, Purge. Are we gonna see more Underlords? Because we don't see Underlord that often, sometimes banned. But not
it's more commonly like a last pick where you're like, oh, there's not too many other good offlaners, and this one kind of works out. But this was like a planned pick for them. They picked it 3rd overall in their draft. So they were like, okay, we're going to pick Underlord. We know it's going to work in this game. We're going to mitigate the damage. And that's what's cool about the ultimate is that when there's fights, as long as your team's on the same page and you're taking good fights, he always shows up and he brings those aura items where the party is. And now all of a sudden your carry has a mech on their top, on their back, or a pipe at a good time.
So how is Team Liquid gonna recover from something like this? Because they drafted well. We looked at the draft after it was done and said Team Liquid they're gonna run away with this one, and we did see them have a start of that with the laning stage. But Effie, what are they gonna do after this? Where do you adjust?
Where do you adjust? So I think that we talked about Grimstroke being cool hero and interesting, but it was very whelming.
It whelmed, for sure.
It whelmed us. It was quite the whelming.
Would you say it was underwhelming? Or just whelm?
I think it was whelming.
I'd say it was like mid to high tier underwhelming. Or sorry, low to mid tier underwhelming.
I think it was underwhelming because everything else kind of fell apart at the seams at some point.
That's true.
We didn't really get to see it do what we thought it would.
When you fall behind, it
Everything
definitely
looks
whelms
bad.
a lot.
Yeah. Bad.
Lots of whelms
Yeah,
happening. But
for
no,
sure.
so I think for if your DK is your mid and he goes for that early blank, like you need to secure that early burst damage, and it worked out a couple of times before Underlord got his pipe, and then there was nothing, right?
Yep.
So I feel like Liquid had really solid lanes, and they don't have to change too much, but I would like to see something more of like DK Murata, DK Snap, if they're still going to go to the DK. And we have to keep in mind that Liquid had first pick, which is why they went for the 3 flex heroes and Tusk and DK and Nature's Prophet. But if Liquid managed to get second pick this time around, I think they will definitely do a lot better.
Okay, we're gonna find out if they have first or second pick in this upcoming game, because it's a best of 3. Let's see if they can force out a third game to this. But first, game 2, Gaming Gladiators and Liquid after a break.
Wear your passion. Share your passion. Wherever, whenever. Gaming is a lifestyle. Get your merch at shop.eslgaming.com.
Team Liquid has never lost a series. That is, excluding Gaming Gladiators, because Gaming Gladiators is their kryptonite, and we saw it here in the first game. We're going to find out if they found a way to fight back. I know. Tour 1, Team Liquid did beat Gaming Gladiators. It went all the way, you know, but since then it's been 2-0s a clock, 3-0s a clock. It's all been rough for Team Liquid. So will they be able to beat, at this point, their nemesis?
I'm a believer now.
You are?
After that game, that looked to me like Team Liquid had them figured out in the draft, and they had them figured out in the lanes, and all of a sudden it was like trap card Gaming Gladiators. They were like, yeah, we're ready for this. Boom, and they smashed them.
Well, exactly. So Gaming Gladiators should be winning this one too, because they got Team Liquid figured out.
That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, it does.
I didn't believe it before the series, but now
Wrong.
I do. Okay,
Wrong.
the IO is going to give me
Wrong.
some thoughts.
IO draft.
Wow.
You know what the great Cinderin always said?
It's not.
Stop calling me. We're not friends. I don't know how you got my Skype contact. But also, IO, whenever you play IO, it's a totally different game of Dota 2. It's a different ball game. It's not even Dota.
Is that still Cinderin talking?
No, this is not Cinderin. I would do the voice.
Okay.
Which voice?
I was doing Cinderin voice.
You did the exact same voice you have.
He sounds a lot like me.
That was like exactly like you.
He sounds a lot like I do because we're close friends, play Minecraft
So how
together.
are we supposed to differentiate?
We
whether
run the
it's
bank on our Minecraft server.
whether it's you talking or Cinderin talking?
Oh, I'll just let you know. But
Okay.
this is not Cinderin talking.
Okay.
So the IO, you don't have to worry about map presence. There's always a +2. There's a super-powered, supercharged hero, probably Leshrac. No, it's going to be Storm. They like the Storm. with this.
They do,
on Liquid.
actually.
I feel like Lush could be okay here, just because you maybe don't want to consider the Doom threat later on, but Lush has less of a threat when he gets doomed.
Yeah, he doesn't
But
care.
typically, Liquid have gone for like the IO Primal or the IO Storm when they do snag their first phase IO. Primal can be okay here too. I wouldn't mind seeing it since Nature's Prophet is still in the pool, and that way it gives them a way to deal with it. But yeah, it's pretty open right now, and Liquid are talking about what it is that they want to do in particular.
And it's a storm. It's that used to be very good. Is it still that good? Because it used to be the when you mentioned Team Tickles, this is what they went for, like all the time.
I would say so. It's still very good. I think this combo is always going to be effective. There's going to be this massive mid-game power spike. Like, you don't even buy Soul Ring anymore, but if you do now in IO, it's like infinite mana for the Storm, so I still think that's very relevant.
And some Storms just go Arcane Boots to kind of give themselves the same thing. It's like, it's just, so other mana regen items have been nerfed. Arcane will cover similar principles.
I saw
sure.
the Soul Ring coming back on IO like right at the start of this patch. I don't know why. I'm not sure. Maybe it's like the heroes that were starting to get played with the IO. But I did see a lot of people picking it up, so I wouldn't be surprised that with the Storm.
I think with Storm, it's so solid. It's probably the best thing you can do in IO, but it depends on the IO player, just because some people prefer the Locket build-up. They just think it's a lot easier. But yeah, I do like it. I think there is always a threat by Doom later on as the game progresses, but if you see one support in the first phase and it doesn't have any kind of reliable lockdown or stun, and Doom doesn't have that reliable lockdown or stun until later, until he gets the Centaur Stomp and comes online, Storm is an excellent hero, right? Because when you're hitting that mid-game spike that we're talking about, I mean the early mid-game spike, not even the mid-game one, you can run over these heroes, these low disable, high cooldown type heroes. You can definitely take it over, and that's kind of what Liquid were lacking in that game one. They were lacking that explosiveness from the mid lane, just because their DK and their Grim combo got handled really nicely, actually.
Yeah.
Like, the more I think about GG's draft in game one, the better it looks, because it felt like they actually stole the Hoodwink from Liquid, because I feel like that's actually what they wanted to go for, and they took it away. And they ended up having to pair the Grim with the DK as like a last resort kind of thing. I don't think that was planned.
I agree. I think the best looking like follow-up was the Hoodwink. Well, I would say Skywrath Mage, but you know, it's not really that great of a hero, and I think a lot of people's eyes. Underrated though.
Is Gladiators prepping for a Pango pick with this Bloodseeker ban? Or do you guys feel like it's good against Doom or Undying?
I don't think it's great against either of these here. I mean, I'm sure it's fine against Doom in lane. You're gonna farm. You can heal off of the creeps when he presses Scorched Earth to push the wave. But yeah, no, I would say you're right. There's probably something they're setting up for here. And they banned the Pango. Just too obvious.
The other two bans were protecting Storm, basically. Like, it doesn't matter how much mana Storm has if he's disabled, so.
Also, Furion is still in the pool. Gladiators can't really go for it because you've got this IO Storm to worry about. It's such an easy way to play into this Prophet, but it's something that Liquid could just take for themselves.
Is it scary enough to ban for Gaming Gladiators?
It depends on whether or not they want to just choose to like counterplay it with a Primal Beast of their own or a Bat Rider or something like that, because Bat Rider is always a good option versus IO also. The Lasso is an excellent tool at isolating any of his targets or the hero himself. But yeah, it just depends on what they're going for. We can't really see it yet, but there are ways to counterplay it if they want to. But they can't go for it themselves, I'm pretty sure. If they do, that'd be wild if Gladiators want to profit for themselves.
Well, they ban out the Anti-Mage themselves, because that is also considered a counter towards the Storm. But what could their reasoning be for banning out the Anti-Mage?
That is an interesting one, because I think Anti-Mage Storm IO is a pretty weird draft. On this patch, honestly, it's like way more common to see that, like a Storm plus an Anti-Mage than it was before. Because I feel like Anti-Mage, you can get a Vanguard, you can go for like the Radiance build. You're not as useless early. And then like a Storm with an IO, I suppose Storm can be a little more active in the early game, where otherwise like you'd have both the Storm and the Anti-Mage farming.
Is it weak against Doom in lane at least? Like you can mana burn him, stop his Devour kind of thing?
So I think that they're banning this Anti-Mage because the last time Liquid played IO and Storm, I believe it was versus OG, and then their second phase after their IO and Storm was an Ench plus Anti-Mage, and they just completely destroyed. And Ench plus Anti-Mage versus Doom are they can kick him out of that lane quite easily. So they probably just studied and prepared for it and didn't want to deal with it. That's my best guess here.
Gotcha.
And I think anti-mage as a laner has definitely gone up in value, and a lot of teams are starting to respect
He's a
that.
good laner. He's actually good at laning.
But it's not something you want to go for yourself, even if you're playing against the Storm, because the Storm snowball with the IO happens a lot earlier than anti-mage being ready to deal with it.
So Liquid, I would say, you know, anytime you have a Storm IO, you of course want some sort of setup around the map. You know, Bane comes to mind. Obviously, you're not going to pick this hero versus a Rubik, and it's just not that good of a hero in general. They go for a Morph. That's absolutely not set up, but I would expect to see something coming out in the next 2 picks. So they have the double pick here, so it didn't really matter what they picked first. They just knew that they wanted Morphling, and they're probably deciding on this pick. So they're like, okay, we'll pick the Morph, not waste our reserve time, and then we'll think about what sort of hero we want.
I think now, because Morph and Storm are they're countered by the same thing, which are stuns, instant stuns, silences of the instant variety. Gladiators are put in a position where, yeah, sure, they have the Rubik lift. They're put in a position where now they have to go for another solid lockdown here, or they're just not countering 2 heroes that came out quickly enough. And I feel like Liquid are just have a really solid draft again if that's the case. So I think GG definitely have to go for their stun here. If they don't go for their stun here, then they're just going to have two bans to cover both the Morph and the Storm. Like, they're protected by the same bans.
5 seconds remaining.
That's a good point, yeah. Definitely similar weaknesses.
So some sort of silence / instant
It has to be.
lion. Or
Please no.
carry lion.
Carry line. Ooh,
Oh, you're right. The thing is, it usually comes from the supports too. It's like, but the 2 supports on Gaming are picked, and then the mid-instant disablers are already banned.
Yeah.
Or the 2 big ones at least.
Yeah.
So what's left?
I mean, it's not the same, but Ember can lock down Storm at least pre-BKB. Can't really do much to Morphling.
Could also be a carry that rushes Orchid.
Not too many of those these days. I feel like.
There's an OD.
Okay. I mean, that's like a morph counter because you imprison him and then ult, and a lot of the time he's low enough HP that he just dies.
Yeah.
It's good against Bane too, right?
The hero is also a strong laner. I think it kind of goes both ways. Like, yeah, it's a save versus Vayne, but I really like Enfeeble versus OD, especially if they go for the Ags build, because then you're severely decreasing the cast range of Astral in these fights. And if Bane can position himself well, he can just have perma Enfeeble up on the OD.
I don't even know if you need to answer the Bane. It's like you're already playing Bane into Rubik. This is one of the worst matchups in the game. I mean, I get it. Bane is basically just for the Nightmare this game. Nightmare set up for the Storm, so it's kind of like you're not looking to use the Fiend's Grip in a team fight. You're looking to use it around the map for ganks. So I can understand that approach from Liquid. I mean, that's an insanely high skill call to make, I would say.
Yeah.
Normally, it's like, you pick Bane into Rubik, that's dog shit. But it's like the way they want to play it, it does work. So I suppose that's where the OD comes from, is that like, okay, maybe OD can TP in and then save somebody from one of these ganks.
Yep, and Bane's a good laner too. The other nice thing an OD provides, it's the Tower Destroyer. You need something to kill mid tower and safe lane tower, and if he just goes to Meteor Hammer build, he's set there. They don't have to restrict their carry now with that last pick.
But outside of Bane in team fights and how it's going to be difficult to play against Rubik and OD potentially, I think on lane, he is so strong, and he's just been getting stronger and stronger too. And you can either choose to put him on the offlane or the safe lane here in either situation, and he's going to do incredibly well. Like, he can play versus Undying if they choose to flex the Undying to play on the 4L as well. Like, I just like the concept of Bane to secure Morphling's lane or potentially move it around if they have to. Like, outside of that, he may struggle in these team fights, but I think if your Morphling gets off to a good start, you're incredibly happy with that, right? We've seen Morphling be able to punish these Beastmasters. We've seen Morphlings be able to punish these Dooms. Like, this is a high damage hero that can out-CS these heroes. So if you have a support that can enable it on lane, maybe that's all Liquid care about right now.
Yeah. Just honestly, you just need a hero that can like body for you in the first couple of levels, so Morph can get some levels into the stat Morph, and then he absolutely dumpsters like most of these melee offlaners. And Bane, obviously, I mean, with the base stats, is so incredible in the early game. Purge, what was the change to Bane? I think it was like a stat change, right?
They probably gave him like
in
one
the
of all
patch.
stats again or something.
They gave him like a little bit of stats, and when they nerfed that originally, that's when Bane fell off from being like the most OP 5. So it does matter quite a bit.
They nerfed Brain Sap a couple times too. That it used to be like low mana, 90
it was
pure
90
damage.
Pure damage level
At
1.
like 80 mana. It was bonkers good. Now it's like 75. So he's a lot weaker at level 1, level 2. Level 3 is good again, but
Nightmare level 1's also pretty bad. It's like 5 damage
that's a good point.
per
It used to
second,
do
and then
like
15.
Used to be like 15, 25 damage or something at level
Yeah.
1.
Are we not a little worried that it's an IO Bane support duo? That sounds so underwhelming.
I mean, I think that's a good support duo because
Oh, wait a
Enchantress
second.
3 again?
it's an offlane, offlane
Off
Enchantress.
Okay, yeah.
They
So-
played this recently.
So this is where you consider, okay, do we carry Doom, or at the very least, do we put the Doom in lane against the offlane Ench? But the thing is, offlane Ench can then just go for impetus, max out the impetus and the heal. But that does mean that the tower push is not going to come in as hot from that, and they go for a TB.
Okay. Decent for Morphling, because you can go the Ags build, of course, but it's not. It kind of goes both ways. Not a bad pick. It's going to be hard to kill TB. They don't have a huge amount of like burst damage and disable outside of like grip stuff.
So it's hard to have a read on this one because Liquid have another snowbally type of draft. If they get off to good lanes, they can definitely run over the map, and they're not going to encounter the damage issues that they had in Game 1. The thing is, Gladiators scaling is just so good, and the OD is kind of an X factor for me right now because that hero's laning is so solid, and it can punish a lot of Liquid's heroes. It's just that if Storm gets off to, like, if you can get a couple of pickoffs and then pair up with this IO, like, you can jump this OD and punish him. You can jump this Rubik and punish him. You can punish this Terrorblade also. But Gladiators definitely have the better late game, so Liquid are going to have to play probably one of the best mid games of their life, and I don't know. It's going to be really, really, really dependent on how snowbally it can go. I have said that already, but I am a little bit concerned because I feel like OD is pretty underrated of a hero.
Purge, what are your thoughts on who has the upper hand here?
The draft looks kind of similar to me as last game in the sense that Liquid is drafting for lanes very heavily, and I feel like Gaming Gladiators has great heroes for getting net worth in a losing game. It's like TB for split pushing, Doom's going to get net worth no matter what, and they've got good pick-off potential with their heroes. So, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of the first game, but I'm excited to see how the offlane Enchantress does, and if it's enough to like blast the lane and then set tempo for the mid game.
I actually believe in Enchantress against illusion heroes that aren't Naga, because you do more damage with impetus. If it's a core Enchantress and you're actually maxing the impetus, it does more damage to illusions now. It's like the Slardar bash to creeps, except to illusions.
And you can take over an illusion.
You take over illusions too.
Eventually, yeah, eventually.
You have Sustain versus Undying if you choose to go for Nature's Attendance. Instead of Enchant, you can just play on Nature's Attendance and Impetus and just play for laning and specifically laning. So yeah, Liquid's lanes are strong, but Gladiator scaling is super scary.
If the game is even at like 15 minutes, Gladiators is just eventually going to win. That's just Doom TB. And I honestly believe in TB versus Morphling.
All right,
I think TB's good.
I actually think they have a leeway at minute 15. I think for like minute 20 plus, it's even that's when it gets really scary for Liquid.
Well, we're going to find out who comes into minute 20 with the lead in the second game of this best of 3 series. We're heading over to OD Pixel and Fog.
Thank you very much, Stevie. Yes, game 2 now. Gaming Gladiators versus Liquid. And Fogged, we're getting a Zai offlane Enchantress.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely interesting. Feels like, honestly, it feels a little similar to last time around where Liquid is trying to play kind of fast, set tempo and stuff like that. Gaming have overwhelming team fight, ways to take tons of these fights. Let's see which one's going to thrive this time, because Liquid first 10 minutes, 12, 15 minutes of last game looked great, and then they literally got completely destroyed. And Ace, when he's playing his Doom, he does very similar to what he does on his Underlord.
Yeah,
he is not a Midas farmer. He is a Vanguard or a buyer that looks to join and evolve into all these early type of team fights. So let's see how it's going to go down. This is going to be a fun one.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. With the way that Ace has been playing, I think a lot of eyes are going to be on him.
Yeah.
Once again this game, and especially if you're Liquid, right? You've got to somehow find a way of making sure that Ace doesn't have these kind of back-to-back performances as he has been having recently.
They do have the Morphling, which is quite good, especially inside this lane versus him and all that. But I mean, I don't feel like I see Ace and Tofu really lose lanes too often. They are just so good at playing lanes together.
Sure. And this is a strong one, Doom Rubik?
Yep, definitely. Yep. Let's see how the pairing is going to be. So at the moment, looks like they're going to be using the IO up there to deal with the harassment that's going to coming out for the Morph. It's super beneficial with the Morph when you're down to 1 strength. I mean, look at the headdress. The regen just obviously is percentage-wise fantastic. And let's see bottom. This is a pretty cool approach that they went for. You know, they're playing versus Undying. So what a lot of teams have been doing to deal with Undying is you just pick like an agi or a ranged int hero or something like that, so you're not getting decayed as a strength hero and it feels miserable. And I like the point that Jenkins brought up. The Enchantress versus TB matchup in early game is pretty scary. This Impetus is incredibly high damage versus the illusions, versus the hero in general too, because you're fairly squishy. And of course, you know, taking any of those illusions yourself with an enchant.
I mean, overall as well, looking at what Liquid's come into this game too with, what does this sort of say to you that they took away from game one and they wanted to try differently this time?
Give Nisha a hero that isn't a boring DK, right? I mean, that's probably the biggest one for me. Just he can make so much more happen as a Storm in comparison. I mean, that's probably the biggest one, at least for me, but similar type of style of just wanting to secure lanes early, but honestly, gaming, I feel like they have pretty good lanes. It's just the bottom one. I'm wondering how this is going to go, because I think Dyrachyo, they could just die at any moment. Celery and Dyrachyo, there's just so much harassment that comes out from an Enchantress and a Bane. They're going to have to bring lots of extra regen down here to deal with the harass.
And do you sort of agree overall that there's a bit of a timer this game, that later on Gaming Gladiators is going to fall into a very favorable spot? Or do you think Liquid can also scale?
I think Liquid can scale, but they're going to need a lead in order to be able to do so, to get into that type of mid-game. It's not easy to get a lead either when you're playing versus these super split pushy and super easy to farm heroes like a Doom. Like, he's just going to have the network no matter what you do to him. So it can scale, of course, with that Morphling. With that TB matchup, you go the Aghanims and stuff like that, you turn into him. Reflection's amazing. And you're a mixed damage hero. That's the other thing that I think some people like. Ace should be fine. It's not just about being able to steal his stats and stuff like that on TB. It's also that you're, as Morphling, you're probably one of the best mixed damage carries, because you're doing tons of magical and physical in combination versus a high armor TB.
Oh my goodness me. Nisha, yeah, it was keeping his cool there, not popping the Fairy Fire.
I mean,
My
Jesus.
goodness. I mean, he's done the maths. He knows that one of these hits each time won't be enough to kill him.
He's going to have to go back, though.
Is under attack.
He's doing very well in these first few waves. You see his last hits are doing better, but Quinn able to now push him away back to the base. That's a big deal.
Yeah, this is going to give easily enough time for Quinn to catch up on the next wave or so.
Constantly having to keep top. I think Tofu, if he makes a mistake, he should die up here. Bottom, I keep having to keep eyes down here because just Dyrachyo is getting just constantly spammed out from both Insania and Zai. He's still farming.
I was going to say, kind of like last game.
Yeah.
Even in the lane when he died and such, he was still getting the CS. And yeah, same to be said here. Tanking a lot of damage from Zai that's been thrown his way with the impetuses. But yeah, 13 and 6 on the CS. He's doing fine.
The CS are there, but you have to always remember too, he's having to spend extra on regen. So he actually has to bring a salve. So that's his second salve that Dyrachyo's had to buy for himself as a Terrorblade. So yeah,
okay.
13 last hits, but if you look at his actual net worth, it's, 1,300, while Zai's is 1,600 and the Morph 1,800. So do have to always factor in the fact that they have to buy extra regen in some of these lanes. And yeah, Quinn reestablishing that mid, that dominance, 12 and 10 now on him.
Yeah, what do you think they sort of liked about the OD this game to get it for Quinn?
It's always been kind of in a way a traditional morph counter, because this hero's sitting low, you get on top of him, you just pop the ulti, you can actually just burst immediately. And it's just a strong lane. So I think Quinn wanted to double these benefits. And with the build that you're able to get now, I mean, I say now, it's been for a long time, but if you want to go down the route of this Meteor Hammer, you can actually apply a lot of pressure on these towers early, where your TB doesn't really want to show up too soon. So it's going to be a cool one. I want to see what skill build Quinn does. I've seen a lot of people just doing, you keep the Astral at 2 points, and you max your other abilities, and you just play around 2 points Astral into Meteor Hammer. See if he does do that one. I think Thompson was one that was doing it a lot, even going stats and foregoing maxing Astral.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, as long as you've just got enough time to set up for the Meteor, that's all you need.
Yeah. Just the harassment, right? You see Dyrachyo, he's got boots running back and forth, trying not to take so much damage. Can they turn it onto Zai? One more hit.
He's got him.
They got him.
I mean, honestly, Dyrachyo, he's playing this lane really, really nicely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we've seen Terrorblades kind of laning up against something like an Enchantress, just completely losing the lane. But Dyrachyo getting a kill, getting his first blood, and also getting the CS perfectly fine. He's playing really, really nicely against this from Zai.
Today's his day for sure. He was bullied quite consistently in the last game and still had an amazing time.
That's the thing. Both times tough lanes, but he's keeping it together in nicely.
He might find Insania too. One more hit. He's got him.
All right. I mean, yeah.
There we go.
He's on something today, Dyrachyo.
Hell yeah.
Solid start here.
I love I mean, the fact that he even
stuff.
did the little things of like bringing his own regen, bringing 2 salves to the lane so he can keep himself there, foregoing like, I mean, yeah, Wraith Band is kind of not really necessary so many times on the Terror Blade when he's playing versus a double pure damage lane. Doesn't need armor, he needs boots, he needs Gloves of Haste. Gives him attack speed, move speed to hit this Ench. That's a dream start here for him.
Oh, really nice.
Still seeing Mickey, of course, free farm in the top lane. But definitely some good stuff. Bounty blocks, Bloxy. They're on Ace. Ace
See if they can run him down. It's going to take him a bit of time.
Sure will.
Scorched Earth's back up.
Another waveform in 4 seconds. He should die, but in the meanwhile, I mean, Nisha gets punished mid. And how many CS did they miss for this kill, right? I think Mickey misses almost an entire wave, plus the catapult. So honestly, you get 215 gold, but missing 4 or 5 last hits, plus I mean, it's almost the same thing if he just sat in the lane and farmed the creeps.
What are the levels looking like mid? Well, Quinn is 6.5, Nisha 5.5, so a full level difference now between the mids. Quinn, I mean, you see the amount of denies he's racking up as well now. He's really leading the charger in this matchup.
He pretty much has Meteor Hammer done.
Yeah.
And yeah, 2 points in his Arcane Orb. I think he is going to do that Astral thing that I was mentioning. And yeah, he's going to be able to push Nisha out of lane almost by himself when he does have that. And Nisha might just have to jungle to finish off that 6 soon.
Ooh.
Oh,
like
just
the
kidding.
Snipe there, though. Boxy.
Okay.
Able to catch the courier of Quinn, so that completed Meteor Hammer is going to be put on the sidelines a little longer than Quinn would have liked.
The rest, he didn't buy the Void Stone at the least, but yeah, it means the rest would be so.
He would have had it, right? So
Yep.
Postponed by an extra minute there, thanks to that snipe from Boxy.
That's a huge deal, because he would have it, and he has
He would have
catapult.
it at crazy time.
Like, he would have it on the catapult wave, so he'd actually be able to force rotations and stuff like that. That is incredible there. Little courier snipes. Celery. He lives. Dyrachyo, he's turning.
I mean, look at this damage here. Insane. It doesn't stand a chance.
Oh my god, Dyrachyo.
He's just getting, killing spree at 7 minutes in. This is a very happy Terrorblade.
And like the panel was saying, this is a matchup. You know, I still favor Morphling in a vacuum, of course. You know, you have to, of course, factor in a million different other things. But if a TB does get an advantage versus a Morphling, that's where he also kind of counters him in a way, right? Because you get that early Scotty timing and stuff like that. So Dyrachyo having an incredible start. And this is the lane that Liquid, I think, really wanted to try to dominate with the way that they set things up. So very impressive.
I mean, for sure, that's one of the reasons why you put Zai in this offlane Enchantress, right? I mean, you know, for sure, Zai, he's still getting a lot of farm out of the lane. He's getting just as much as Dyrachyo, but absolutely. Maybe not slowing down this Terrorblade as much they would have hoped to.
I mean, they're also just really slowing down Nisha. Nisha's actually I mean, he went for Arcane Boots. It makes a lot of sense when you're playing with the IO, the double pump up, but having Arcane Boots is going to quite reduce your physical damage output that comes out from the Storm, not having those treads early.
No, it's going to be nice for sort of like the flash farming, the jungling section of the game. But as we saw last time round, when gaming Gladiators as a team were able to hit timing that Liquid weren't quite prepared for themselves, you know, Liquid was sort of focused on trying to get their next items out on the cores. That's when Liquid started to crumble big time.
Zai, he's going. I mean, this is an interesting itemization too. It looks like he's going to be going for an Orchid early on.
Oh.
Nice play, Dyrachyo. Body blocks the camp with his illusion. Make sure that the Ench can't get a creep and start pushing tower. He's doing all the little things right on Dyrachyo. Now Quinn, Meteor Hammer, it's coming out. He also finds the blessed item. The Fairy's Trinket is up on Quinn too, so Meteor Hammer is going to be able to go on the tower. But he may have been able to like take this tower if that snipe didn't happen. So a big deal, as you see. 1 minute 54 slower than average because of the snipe. Ace, too tanky now to be brought down. Vanguard's finished.
These two can't take him out unless Ace makes some massive overextension.
Mid Nisha. I mean, he'll turn up to try to get some defense, but Quinn is getting unbelievable damage. He's almost going to finish off the tower. Rotation's coming. Insania trying to prevent it. But it's spotted instantly from the ward.
Quinn is going to go for the setup.
They got him.
They've got him. They've more than got him there. Very, very dead Nisha. And the tower, they'll have a fortification, but it's going to be going down.
Oh, that efficiency at its finest. The Meteor Hammer hits the tower and the Storm. Chef's kiss. Beautiful stuff.
I mean,
what an early game.
Yeah, Gaming Gladiator is just playing a little too good today. I mean, last game, turning things around after a bit of a slower start in the lanes. This game, too, straight off the bat here. 10 minutes in, 5-1, and looking to take the lead quite early.
Honestly, all three lanes look incredible. Ace, yeah, sure, he's gonna struggle because especially Tofu's moving a lot, but he's still farming very well as this Doom. So, I mean, everything is going in their favor right now, and they have, as we said, this very strong scaling draft if they're able to get this type of start here.
I mean, when you look at Liquid's cores as well, you know, which one of these cores is going to kind of get that item that allows them to start, you know, doing the moves that Gaming Gladiators are making? Like, what's going to be your soonest, strongest point of Liquid's draft?
Honestly, I think it's just going to be, they're just going to have to join up with like the IO and the Storm and just look to make moves even just
without
items, just to try to slow down this pressure that's been coming out of the free farm that Duracio's getting in a lane that I think they expected to be able to do much better in. Like Duracio, sure, he's not the same net worth as like the Morphling, 900 behind or so, but they literally set this lane up to stop him, and he's doing great.
Sure. And you think this is a difficult game for Mickey to sort of just try and ignore everything, hit creeps, and carry as a morph late on? Like, can Mickey get away with that this game?
The issue is he's just like, you know, there's a Doom, right? So, and there's a Doom, and then there's the OD pick, which can counter in a way, too. We're going to see him get a pretty early Linken's, very likely to deal with the Doom, so maybe that'll be enough, but this is definitely some concerns for Liquid, because Nisha is just, I look at his net worth, and they're just preying on him. So it's going to mostly have to come from Mickey and Zai just doing that heavy lifting in the early mid-game. And overall for team fights, I'd say Liquid, they're more around playing for pickoffs with the IO relocate, Fiend's Grip, stuff like that, rather than taking a head-on fight into Tombstone and a heavy farm Doom who's going to have the auras again.
Yeah, they don't have any team fight, really.
No.
Liquid.
Zai, again, they're setting up for him. Quinn's here. He's going down.
Dominating now, Duracio. And it's going to be interesting to see, I mean, how much do you think Gaming Gladiators is going to care when this Orchid's done on Zai? Like, do you see it doing a lot for him, this game? Or do you think it's going to feel a little underwhelming?
I think it might feel a little underwhelming.
I mean, because there's got to be a reason why we don't see any other offlane heroes right now. Nobody's picking an offlane hero and rushing Orchid. Right?
No.
That is a very kind of niche sort of build. Zai obviously doing it on the Enchantress. Makes sense. It's an int hero. And Silence, of course, you know, against like the OD, it's going to be annoying.
Sure, but they can just itemize with BKBs and stuff like that. So Zai, he shows up bottom. They're committing for the tower here, Gaming. Tombstone will get denied.
And they're bringing more backup in there, Liquid.
Oh, the re-relocate. It brings Nisha back to the jungle as he's TPing. Whoops. But either way, they're going to get the defense.
The push was stopped. So.
It actually ends up being probably better that the relocate took
I was
going to
say, otherwise they would have sort of had 4 heroes down there doing nothing. So
yeah,
not the end of the world there.
So, I mean, let's see what Mickey is going to be able to do. Okay, well, Linken's, I mean, he can actually perhaps get involved early as this morph just with that. Quinn?
Oh, nice moves here for Nisha. Making it very hard for Quinn to get the Astral. He has to sort of settle with Astraling himself there.
He's got buddies.
He has got backup. So they'll be able to walk away. Nisha trying his best. He got pretty close to getting him. Quick with the Bull Lightnings, making sure that Quinn could never quite Astral in time.
But, I mean, that's a whole mana pool committed.
That's true.
To not get a kill. And
that's why he got the mana boots.
Yep. He's going to be able to pump himself back up. But, I mean, Quinn is regenning very quickly back up, and he's ready to fight. Maybe expecting the Storm isn't going to be ready for this next move.
I think that's exactly it.
The Linken's, he got the snipe.
Oh, that's a big one.
Mickey.
I mean, see if Mickey can get out of this. Ace and Quinn are looking for him.
Quinn is waiting for the waveform. But Mickey, he's careful. Oh. Does hit the tower.
Yeah, they'll go for the tower. But indeed, as you say, well, how long is that the Lincoln's on the side for? That's going to be, what, a minute and a half?
Yeah.
Where Mickey's going to have to wait for that recipe to get to him.
Can you imagine if Ace is also able to get the Doom right afterwards, after killing? Like, that would have just been an insane snowball effect. They already are starting to get this insane type of snowball with the way that they played these lanes. 7-1.
Yeah, they're looking scary today.
They sure are. This time Ace is going to have to take a little bit of the back foot, it seems like, because they set him up. They moved a lot, right? Like Tofu was playing around Quinn a little bit more this time around, so Ace, he's just going to be more of that aura buyer while his OD and his TB just start doing tons of work with the supports. Zai has Orchid. Let's see what he can get with it.
Okay. I mean, now he's got it. Is he going to sort of stay sat down here, or are they going to try and make some sort of smoke move with Zai?
I think they can look to start fighting a bit here just because they have this IO with the mech as well, too, pretty early. You have to make the Orchid pay off before the BKBs, before the Manta and stuff, so I'd like to see them try to get something. Not the easiest, though. I believe Quinn now, he has a Blink Dagger, so he's going to have a way to protect himself constantly. Maybe with the blink, he is going to put more points in that Astral to just go for the blink aways and stuff, but ideally, for the moment, still wants to just hang on to 2 points to set up Meteor.
Is under attack.
Mickey cannot, yeah, he has to be very careful. 15 seconds, it'll come back, so.
Stupendous.
Radiant are scanning.
Let's see where they want to sort of head. I mean, Dyrachyo, of course, his opening basic items done. The Yasha and the Dragon Lance, he's going to want to sort of stick out of the action until he can get the Skadi complete.
He is, I mean, this is the build we saw Tomato do there. The only thing he has to be a little careful of is that Orchid. If he is going to skip out on the Manta, go straight for the Skadi, yes, it's the counter to the Morph, but
sure,
could end up maybe biting him back.
I mean, they've got saves, right?
Yeah.
There's the Greaves on Ace.
They're
There's
roshing.
the Astral as well. I mean, yeah, with the OD, they can do this pretty easily.
Sure can. OD plus Undying, easy Rosh. And Liquid, no way that they can contest. Dyrachyo shows himself up top, continue to apply pressure, so he's like bluffing a little bit. He's like, yeah, I got backup in my team, but they're actually just roshing. This is clever stuff. Immediately with the chat wheel.
Straight away with the smoke. Gaming Gladiators.
They're feeling confident. They're looking good, too. Looking unbelievably good.
Dire's top tower is under
Liquid at the moment just playing that farm game, not actually looking to make a move just yet. Also, now it's way more difficult versus this Aegis that's going to be on Quinn. That he's going to be the one. He's going to be the one initiating. He's just going to be blinking in and starting fights. Isha.
Dire's middle tower.
Well, there's the setup. They've got the Astral. They've got the Astral.
They want
But
Boxy.
he's out. He's out to the side. They won't be able to find him straight away. Quinn's trying to close the gap. But, no further catch. Nisha's away.
I think they know that this was happening, though, from the IO.
Or Dyrachyo. I mean, can these two do it? They've got the Fiend's Grip. With the damage from Zai.
They should get him.
Very nice move from Liquid. They know that Gaming Gladiator's all down bottom, and then Dyrachyo, he's got no one to back him up.
He was bluffing for quite some time up there, right? They were roshing, and he just showed his face a few times. So we'll get punished. A pretty big kill there for Liquid. They will lose their IO on the bottom side, though. Boxy was spotted when he was reloading. 8-2. Only a 3K lead, though. That's Liquid is being very efficient with the way they farm around, of course, with the Arcane Boot Storm and with that IO. Ace now will have Blink. See if he swaps the creep up. That's the one thing I'm worrying, Biz. Watch here, Nisha.
They get the setup. He's gone.
Yeah.
Quinn just slams him down with a hammer. Let's see if they can push for more around this area. Ace ready to join.
I really like the build that Quinn's going for this game. Just, I mean, there's a Blink Meteor Hammer, pretty standard, but then going for a 4-staff next, that's going to give them an extra element to cancel Lincolns and stuff like that on Mickey. So they're going to have a lot of different ways to be able to deal with this morph. Can they get the snag? Lincoln's break.
No, TP's coming in. They don't want to try and mess around with Mickey anymore here.
I think
Ace... Bit too difficult.
I think the Courier was just delivering the Blink Dagger for Ace. If he had it 2 seconds earlier, they probably do get that kill. Mickey will live to see another day. Very quick items on these supports. I mean, all their rotations have hit. So Tofu, as we see, with the early Glimmer Cape. I think Celery might buy drums every single game. Just his favorite item. And Undying, or the Holy Locket's super valuable also. Yeah, very farm supports, great core timings too. They can constantly threaten kills all over the place. I was gonna say, I wonder if Ace does look to switch up the creep perhaps at some moment. I know the stun creep with Blink is amazing, but maybe wants a Lincoln's Breaker of his own. We'll see. Ace, he's spotted by the ward here. Insania is in position. But Gaming is all rotating over.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if Liquid want to take this fight.
He just dooms him.
I mean, it's going to be in Liquid's best interest if they just bail out of there.
What?
Nice jukes, though.
Is he,
honestly, he might live.
Is he actually?
He's going to be able to tether over to Nisha soon. Insania's actually able to pop the Nightmare onto the 8 and TP out.
Okay.
So, all right, Liquid, they don't lose anyone. Everybody gets away.
All right. Can they punish this? Can they punish the fact that Doom's down now?
It's still kind of difficult to do so. I mean, Nisha and Boxy are hanging around top. Now, Nisha's ready to... They're considering going in on this.
If they see them split up too much, I mean, they might jump base here.
I think they could.
They don't know where his backup is. They're going to wait until they see something else. Zai and Sanya, they're looking for the setup mid, but Quinn is already here. Immediately with the Astral.
Yeah, that's going to shut down Insania.
Good read.
And was also made at a time where they no longer had that sort of opportunity to go on Ace top.
Yep.
Ace was able to sort of lead that top lane. And, you know, in a situation where maybe if he hung around for another wave, Boxy and Nisha would have been able to make the jump on him.
It's really heads-up stuff. Like Quinn, he read the map perfectly, and he hit himself in the tree line. So it's like he doesn't show himself. They don't know where he is, and then boom, they strike immediately.
Or Quinn.
He's looking for more.
Mickey is going to be able to push him back. Quinn not having enough on his own to set up with that Lincoln Sphere in play on Mickey.
But he can, though, right? With the Force Staff.
Oh, you're right, actually, yeah.
He can blink Force, Astral, Meteor Hammer if he gets the ideal setup.
I guess it was just Tofu by his side. In
Yeah.
fact, Tofu getting gone on by this reloco move here from Boxy and Nisha. And they're going to try and turn towards Boxy, see if they can burst through him before he's on his way back out. The Sanities is there. Boxy heals up, but he'll get taken out by Quinn. They'll look to Nisha. Nisha up to the high ground. They'll turn their attention over to Mickey instead. He's got the waveform. They'll turn into the OD as well. Lincolns will be popped. Nisha still trying to fight, and he gets the grab onto Duracho. Duracho getting low, but the Soul Rib's there. They get caught by the Nightmare, but the Nightmare comes to an end, and now Gaming Gladiators, they're ready to just charge straight into the high ground, up to the triangle of Liquid. They take out another. Nisha and Boxy have to be careful. As Zai and Insania, they're out of the fight.
They're just playing so well off each other. Duracho gets low for a quick second, some Soul Rips to heal him up, glimmers, saves. Okay.
It's just Quinn and Tofu there.
But Quinn does an unbelievable amount of damage to him.
Mickey's got to bail out. He's completely on his own right now.
They've got the long-range sleep, but don't want to dive under the tower.
Oh, we'll see this fight again. I mean, Liquid, they very much felt like they really wanted to go for this. They felt that they had a chance, but of course, losing Boxy at the start left for a very rough situation. Back in action.
Doom.
It's going to get dropped down on Nisha. They'll be able to push Boxy away from Nisha, take out the IO. The question is if Gaming Gladiators are going to be able to dive beyond the tier 2. They're certainly trying for this. The Doom is about to come to an end, though, and Nisha is going to have enough mana to get away.
Zai's coming in now, too.
They're thinking of turning it Liquid. Nisha, he zips in. Get the Vortex onto Duracho. Grip follow-up as well as anybody cancel the grip. Ace, he's trying to step in with the Who Stomp. He'll be able to put the grip to an end. Doesn't matter, though. The damage has been done. The impetus is there from Zai. Take out Duracho.
And they get the sleep. Celery also going to get brought down. Zai doing pretty absurd damage in that fight. Orchid paying off. And we did, of course, see Duracho go back for the Manta. I figured that he would when he's playing versus this Orchid Enchantress. And he's still going to look to have pretty damn good timing as well on the Scotty afterwards. Liquid striking back slightly here.
Quinn, he's got the basic items done. He's going to be looking for the big one next. Slow build up now for the Hex.
Zai is, honestly, he is scaling pretty hard.
He could silently become the carry here for Liquid. I mean, that's what's going to potentially happen, right, when you're playing this offlane Ench. You get the Orchid, Hurricane Pike. He's taking the Brigands for himself there.
Sure.
And we'll be building up the BKB next. So absolutely, you've got to keep an eye on Zai. Could start, not that he hasn't already, really, doing serious damage in the team fights.
Yeah, not only just him, not only his hero himself is, make it. Should be fine.
Well, Duracho pops the meta for this. But Liquid, they'll be able to keep that distance.
Yeah, the other thing about the Enches, too, he's always going to be able to take one of the illusions from the TB, too. So it's going to work a little bit against him at the same time constantly. 6K lead. Mickey starting to feel a bit better to be able to fight. He found, in my opinion, one of the best Agi items. You know, the Pupil's Gift is so good. We'll get on these Agi heroes. Nisha has BKB now.
I mean, yeah, he's got eyes on them as well. Quinn charging in there, looking for a chance to fight with this DD. But Nisha knows what's up. Duracho, he's actually the one sort of leading the way. Gets into the triangle.
He has to be just a little cautious of how he uses his Manta in these next few situations.
Yeah, I think they're just really trying to force a little bit of action there during the end of the Metamorphosis, but it is about to come to an end. So they'll probably want to back off, at least Duracho will.
Zai, he wants to fight. Quick glimmer.
Yeah, they'll bail out. I mean, Duracho, about 1,500 gold, and he'll have the Skadi done, so his best interest to sit back and get that done. Quinn, he's in. He's going to jump forward. We'll see Mickey going aggressive with the waveform over towards Celery and Quinn. They'll turn for the quick kill onto Insania.
Oh, that's a godly steal for Tofu. This is actually probably one of the better... It's not an ultimate, it's not a Fiend's Grip, but this is insane versus Morphling. Not only just the actual spell, but to break the Lincolns. It's got pretty cool cast range. Oh, this could be huge. Not even just versus Morph, right? Versus Io, versus Enchantress. This is an unbelievable steal that Tofu can get this game. And Ace, even though, as you said, he was sacked a little bit, look at his items. He's got the same as the Underlord, and he's top net worth.
Yeah, I mean, he's still doing great. Granted, he's obviously on a Doom this game, but yeah, absolutely having the build-up to have a very solid impact as he did in game 1.
And he goes for the early shard as well, too. I really like this shard when you're playing versus super tanky heroes, which Morphling can become in a lot of these fights. And Roche, it's back on the menu.
They're going to go straight into the pit.
And Liquid, it's difficult for them to take head-on 5v5s in this type of area where you're able to set up Tombstone and everything and pick and choose your targets as gaming. So probably just have to give this one up, even if they're aware of it. Will Nisha attempt for a steal?
It doesn't look like it.
Don't think so.
They don't really have any sort of vision or setup. In fact, Quinn, he's heading straight over here to see if he can find either Nisha or Boxy.
Blink up in 3. Sees Boxy.
Oh, he's so close. He's going to be able to find him.
He's got him. Monster kill for Quinn. 8-0 and 4. 12 of the 16 kills.
They're doing fantastic this game. And he's going to be well on the way to start picking up the bits of that Hex.
I mean, I really like the way that he's itemized. Mostly standard kind of stuff, but this is going to be incredible versus the Morph versus everything he's up against. This Liquid trying to get something going for themselves down bottom. But they're just heavily on the back foot. It's 16-4. They can't find any type of fight, or they can't even find pickoffs around the map either.
It's just that Gaming Gladiators, they're all hard to kill.
Yeah.
These are all tough heroes to go on.
They're going high ground.
I mean, why not? They want to try and force Mickey to have to back up and fight with the team.
Nisha. He'll be clearing out the wave, so they can't actually go for high ground.
In fact, they're going to back off to react to the push that Mickey and Zai were getting going back down bottom. Tofu and Quinn, they'll head back to deal with this.
And they smoke. So still looking to play aggressive. They're going to sweep across the map and probably try to find this Morphling here. See if Mickey is careful. If they get a... Mickey is everything right now. If he dies, this game is quickly going to be even more unwinnable.
And they're going to see him in the river.
Oh, what? Mickey.
They get the opening.
Wait, what?
There's the Doom.
And a TD. Oh, a blessing.
I mean, very, very well done there. Popping through the Lincolns, having the ult ready to slam down on the Morphling. They'll catch Boxy as well. Boxy, of course, trying to get in the area of the Morph to see if they could bail him out. But wasn't going to be the case. It's 2 dead on Liquid.
Now they go high ground.
They can go for another tier 2 and potentially more. DD.
I
mean, Gaming Gladiators, they've kind of looked on another level.
Honestly, it's like Nisha. Just a jump to try to clear. It's not even just, it's everybody, right? It's the cores, it's the supports. They're doing just so much work. All playing off each other perfectly. Rax is down.
I mean, Insania tries to set someone up here with an ult, but he just ends up dying. Nisha is going to come in with the BKB. They're going to go for Tofu.
He's so tanky.
With the glimmers there. Tofu's still full HP. They turn, they drop the Sanity's Eclipse. That's going to be Mickey dead.
It's over.
He hasn't got buyback. And they might even be able to get Zai. Yeah, Ace, he's diving in beyond the tier 4s. They want to go for more Gaming Gladiators. They take down Zai. 29 minutes, 21-4, 18k lead. They're going to look for a second set of racks.
Oh, this is over.
It really feels like it may be.
That's just, the Morph just dies in a heartbeat. Look at that. Dies in 1 stun. It gets lifted at the end there, but the burst damage, yeah, they call it.
They called it.
It's done.
I mean, wow. Smiles there from Daracha. What a performance.
Damn.
Back-to-back here today from Gaming Gladiators. As you said, something about this matchup, Liquid, they just can't do it. They can't do it. Gaming Gladiators, they know exactly how to deal with them. And each time it always feels like, well, maybe Liquid's, they've got a different approach, they've got a different plan. Today's plan, both games, it weren't great, Fogged.
No, well, I mean, it wasn't maybe not great from them, but I think Gaming just, the answers that they have, the clever way of drafting, setting up some of these heroes, we've seen them do this a lot. I mean, we've seen Liquid even do this where they move heroes around and stuff like that, but honestly, I mean, them having this, I think the OD pick was phenomenal to finish, like, to get this type of thing for Quinn. He ends 9-0-6, shuts down mid, he's good versus the Morphling, he's good pretty much in all situations. This was one of the easier games, it felt like, for them, but they played it so well that it looked easy.
No, absolutely. I mean, Liquid, I think this one's going to hurt. You know, each time trying once again to just better Gaming Gladiators, and today, honestly, they don't even come close.
No.
They don't even come close. 2 games here, back-to-back. Gaming Gladiators, I mean, smiles all around, and understandably so they show up, and they've just completely got Liquid solved. They've got them sorted. 2-0 here for Gaming Gladiators.
It's their kryptonite. Like, Team Liquid, they just can't do it. Gaming Gladiators, for the last, like, now 4 series, it's just this. With Boxy or without Boxy, doesn't matter. It just looks like, indeed, Gaming Gladiators got Team Liquid's number. Very well played by them. Congratulations on a very clean 2-0. And we're going to break down exactly how this was such a clean 2-0. And of course, hopefully we'll get our hands on one of the winners so we can ask them a couple of questions as well. I'm here with Purge, Effie, and Jenkins. And Effie, this game, at some point, there was just no way back for Team Liquid. It just fell flat.
There are a lot of, I thought, pretty strange little things going on for Liquid. Before I get into that, though, I really want to say that the X Factor pick and the OD exceeded all expectations. It was great. I mean, this hero has always been a strong laner. It's always been a strong laner versus Storm. But because of the change to Meteor Hammer, you can just keep your Astral at 2 points and then play on your Q. And if you play on your Orb, you can just become a carry much earlier. Like, you have this really fast setup, and then it just works so perfectly. It gives you the tower pressure that you need. It lets you become a right clicker. It gives you the mana regen in your aura because you're maxing your aura before you are maxing Astral. And it just gave Quinn so much map presence. And I thought the pick worked out incredibly well. They had no ways to counterplay it. But I just want to dial back a little bit and talk about the weird things that I thought Liquid did. The first one that I want to mention is I really think Enchantress should have got Nature's Attendance on lane at least one level. Like, those deaths to Terrorblade should not have happened. I feel like you pick this hero and you pick this Vayne so they can sustain through the damage coming out of this lane. But instead, they play for the aggressive kills and they just end up losing those trades. And Jirachi solo killed the Enchantress and the Vayne. I feel like at least one point in Nature's Attendance would have made a big difference. And the second thing I want to highlight before I pass it on to somebody else is Io, as a hero, when you're picking it to pair up with a core or enable a core, the first item that you buy, I feel, has to enable that core and what it wants. So do you have a core that goes in and needs sustain? Do you need to give it a mech? Do you need to heal it up? Are you playing with something like a Slark that benefits from that burst heal? Then you just go for that mech first. Are you playing with a hero like Storm, who's your main ally? You need a Soul Ring or a Holy Locket. You need to give him mana regeneration, but going mech first on Io in a game where you're losing, that does not enable your Storm Spirit. So those two things I thought were very strange, but I'll stop my monologue and you can take it.
Purge, I want to excuse the first thing because I'm an Enchantress player. All right, you'll handle the second one, all right?
Oh, wait.
I have excuses.
Oh.
Okay. I have excuses.
Sure. Why did Zai do what he did?
So I agree. I want to put that down, put that on the table first. I agree. Nature's Attendance was definitely the play. But when you play Enchantress off lane, you're like, I'm going to dumpster this lane. That's why you pick it. You're going to dumpster. What do you do when you dumpster the lane? You take the tower. And if you don't have 2 points in Enchant, you don't have the 100% uptime on a creep. Like, this hero feels like she needs levels in every single spell. Impetus is to dominate the lane. Nature's Attendance is so that you're that tanky offlaner that nobody wants to go to you because you just won't die. The Enchant is for taking the tower and pressuring with that advantage. So it's a bait. He basically got baited. That's what happened. And I think that's a big reason why Enchantress is not considered to be the most powerful offlaner, even though for a couple of patches she was. I mean, it was ages ago at this point. But at some point she was actually an offlaner because her level 1 abilities had a lot more value. And so you could still be that tanky hero and push the tower. Now it's like you have to make these decisions where if you make a wrong decision with your skill points, then Duraccio is just like literally running you down from the tower and then eventually killing you because you don't have a point in heal.
Yeah, it did feel like Gaming Gladiators had their number in terms of draft stuff, but they also just overperformed, like you said. They got those extra kills in the safe lane. Duraccio was way ahead. The OD skill build was just so cool. Like the B carry thing that you mentioned, it's like it's not just like the fact that you have it maxed out, right? Because normally you go like a 0-4 something build, and then it's like it takes like another like 4 levels to get your orb maxed. But he's instantly doing pure damage against Morphling, very high armor hero. They could Roche with the Undying as well, so amplifying justifying the pure damage that Roche is taking. It just unlocked the map in such a big way with just those 2 little points of the banish. It was just such an effective build for what they're up against.
Yeah, he sold me on the OD. I'm sold.
Yeah.
That is the phone ringing, and we get to talk to none other than Quinn. Hey, Quinn, congratulations on a clean 2-0.
Hello, thank you. Feels good.
I can only imagine. It was so clean to the point where I'm very curious what the preparation for this series in particular looked like, because it feels like the last couple of series you and your team had against Liquid, it's just been crushing nonstop. And like, what do you have like for Team Liquid specifically that works against them?
I mean, I think in terms of like amount of prep or quality of prep, whenever what we do for Liquid is similar to what we do for everyone else. I think we have a good matchup against them because I think Liquid is a very, very aggressive team. Like, they run at you, they try to stomp lanes, they like are super aggressive, and I think our laning as a team is just very, very strong, and it's hard to stomp us because our lanes are super good. So unless we screw up the draft really badly, you're not going to stomp us. And so I think because of that, we tend to just like we survive their aggression, and then we get to just play Dota against them.
Yeah, it was a lot of great Dota played against them today, that's for sure. Obviously, I'm here with Purge, Effie, and Jenkins, and Purge will start with asking some questions too.
You said you managed to survive their strong laning stage. In game 1, they had a very good laning performance against you guys. Were you anticipating this to play through into the mid game?
Yeah, I mean, we picked Slark into Fury and Tusk. You kind of know it's not going to be the greatest lane, but it's a pretty good Slark game, and I think I think this Underlord pick is like way too insane. I think the heroes can't play against it really. And we're there. I mean, Tofu and Ace are just confident playing against like so many matchups. So like they're gonna pick some Ursa. We don't really care that much. I think once it passes some 10 minutes, whatever, the game gets to a point where it's quite nice for us. Maybe they have one move with DK Blink or something, but we're gonna get some spells at some point, and then their heroes can't fight us anymore, I think.
Cool. And the second question, how long have you been practicing this like OD adjustment build with the 2 points Astral?
I mean, I've done it on and off in like pubs and stuff for, I don't know, like several weeks. I mean, everybody stole the build from Thompson. Thompson did this build like whenever Hammer first got changed, and then people were like copying it a bunch. I think people played it in Eastern Europe, some GPKs and depressed kids and stuff. So it's like kind of standard at this point, but it's pretty nice, the Insta Hammer.
Okay, hey Quinn, congrats on the win. Hello. But I just wanted to ask you a couple of things. Number one is, I'm really curious, like when you approach these third-party tournaments, do you place any kind of value on them over something like a DPC tournament, or do you just go for it the same way?
I go for it the same way. I have way too much self-worth placed in how good I am at this game, so losing any game or any tournament or whatever wounds me too deeply to not take it seriously. Yeah, so I take it pretty seriously when I win, especially when you play Liquid, because all these, there's always some caveat when you play Liquid and you win is, oh, Boxy wasn't there, Boxy was sick, Boxy hurt his knee. Like there's always something, So to win with no knees hurt and nobody sick, it's like, I just want to win,
Okay, on that abrasive note, I'm curious, did you see Moon Meander's public declaration of war against you? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I accept his declaration of war, and my vegan captain will smack him down in however many days we play him.
That's great. And the last thing I want to get your opinion on is, have you heard the rumors of the patch dropping right before Berlin?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, so do you feel like that's overall healthy for the scene, or would you have preferred it dropped at a different time?
I mean, I think it definitely should have dropped earlier. I think dropping it right before the major, whenever points matter as much as they do in this ecosystem, is a bit questionable. I mean, presumably they just didn't have the patch ready, so they needed to wait until a point where there wasn't a tournament going on. So they're like dropping in the middle of this because there's like a small break. I mean, I get it from their perspective, but I think in terms of competitive integrity, it's kind of bad to drop a major patch right before a tournament that gives you points to qualify to UTI.
Yeah, I actually agree with you there. Thank you. Jenkins?
I've got one quick question to go off of that, because if the patch drops at the rumored time, which would be Thursday night or Friday morning for us or something like that, it would mean that the 4 teams that come out of the group stage here get to play on the new patch in the playoffs. If winning or losing aside, would you prefer to watch other teams figure it out, or rather get the experience of playing on the patch straight away?
I think it's definitely better to play, especially if if it's a big patch, then maybe there's map changes. And I think there's a lot of things about like the map and heroes and stuff that you just sort of have to feel out. Like just playing a mass quantity of games when there's a new patch, whether it be officials or pubs, I think is the most beneficial generally.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Big Q, it's Jenkins here.
What's up, Big J?
Just hanging out. And I wanted to the fight, the good battle, the war that's been waging between you and Reddit, and obviously Moonmander joining the sides of Reddit, and Fart Studios went down the other day. I'm wondering if this kind of war is giving you motivation, empowering you up in your gameplay. Because honestly, people say, oh, Quinn joined Gaming Gladiators, he did so well, whatever. That's also the time when you started fighting with Reddit, and I think that's actually what caused the power up. So I wonder what your opinion is on that.
Yeah,